The towering war machines, known as Titans, trace their origins to humanity's greatest technological epoch, the Dark Age of Technology, when mankind's reach extended across the galaxy and their mastery over the material universe approached godlike proportions. During this golden age of human expansion, vast databases of technological knowledge were compiled into standard template construct systems, miraculous repositories of information that could guide automated manufacturing processes to create everything from simple tools to the most complex machinery imaginable. Among these precious SDC patterns were the blueprints for colossal walking machines, originally conceived not as instruments of war, but as titans of industry. These massive constructs were designed to serve humanity's expanding civilization as mobile construction platforms, deep core mining operations, and heavy industrial units capable of reshaping entire worlds. Standing dozens of meters tall and weighing thousands of tons, these mechanical giants possessed articulated limbs strong enough to move mountain faces and sophisticated cogitator systems that allowed them to navigate treacherous terrain while performing delicate operations. The SDC patterns for these industrial titans found their way to Mars during the early waves of human expansion, along with countless other technological templates that would later prove invaluable to the species' survival. When the Dark Age of Technology collapsed into the catastrophic period known as Old Night, Mars became an isolated bastion of technological knowledge, its red deserts sheltering the precious data vaults that contained humanity's accumulated wisdom. The planet's inhabitants, who would eventually become the tech priests of the Mechanicum, recognized the immense value of these ancient patterns and devoted themselves to their preservation and study. As the Age of Strife consumed the galaxy in warfare and chaos, the original purpose of these massive machines underwent a fundamental transformation. The industrial titans that had once carved through planetary crusts in search of rare minerals or erected vast hab blocks to house growing populations found themselves pressed into military service as humanity's scattered worlds fought desperately for survival. Their powerful industrial manipulator arms were retrofitted with weapons of devastating potency, their reinforced chassis armored against enemy fire, and their sophisticated sensor arrays reconfigured for battlefield awareness. This evolution from peaceful constructor to war engine occurred gradually across thousands of isolated human worlds, each adapting their titans according to local needs and available resources. Some mounted massive plasma cannons salvaged from orbital defense platforms, while others wielded continent-cracking seismic hammers originally designed for deep mining operations. The transformation was not merely mechanical but philosophical, as the machine spirits that inhabited these colossal constructs adapted to their new roles as instruments of destruction. The tech priests of Mars played a crucial role in preserving and refining Titan technology throughout the long millennia of Old Night. While much of humanity's technological knowledge was lost to war, ignorance, and the ravages of time, the Red Planet's inhabitants maintained their ancient compact with the machine spirits and continued to construct new Titans according to the sacred SDC patterns. Their understanding of these war engines deepened through generations of study and practical application, as Mars itself became embroiled in conflicts with other Forge worlds and the various human factions that sought to claim the planet's technological treasures. The Martian tech priests developed an intricate relationship with their Titan legions, viewing the massive war engines not merely as weapons, but as living manifestations of the Omnissiah's will. Each Titan was consecrated through elaborate rituals that awakened its machine spirit and bound it to the sacred purpose of defending the Forge world and spreading the Omnissiah's dominion across the stars. These machine spirits were understood to be ancient and proud entities, possessed of their own personalities and preferences, requiring careful handling and constant appeasement through ritual maintenance and offerings of sacred oils and incense. The complexity of Titan technology meant that only the most skilled tech priests could hope to understand their inner workings, and even then, much of their operation remained mysterious. The SDC patterns provided the basic framework for construction, but each Titan incorporated countless modifications and improvements developed over millennia of practical experience. The massive plasma reactors that powered these war engines required constant attention from teams of tech adepts, while their sophisticated targeting systems and void shield generators demanded regular recalibration and ritual purification. When the Emperor of Mankind emerged from the shadows of Terra to begin the Great Crusade, the Forge world of Mars possessed the largest concentration of operational Titans in the galaxy. The Treaty of Mars, signed between the Emperor and the Fabricator General of Mars, established the formal alliance between Terra and the Red Planet that would prove crucial to the success of the Great Crusade. This agreement granted the Mechanicum considerable autonomy in exchange for their technological expertise and military support, including their formidable Titan legions. The early years of the Great Crusade saw an unprecedented expansion in Titan production, as the Forges of Mars worked tirelessly to equip the growing Imperial war machine. Ancient STC patterns were consulted and refined, new variants were developed to meet specific battlefield requirements, and the sacred knowledge of Titan construction spread to other Forge worlds throughout the expanding Imperium. The Mechanicum's understanding of these war engines deepened through practical experience, as Titan legions fought alongside the Space Marine legions across countless worlds, their massive forms striding through alien cities and reducing enemy fortifications to rubble. The machine spirits of these Titans proved to be complex entities, each possessing distinct characteristics that reflected their long service and accumulated experiences. Some displayed aggressive tendencies, eager to engage enemy forces and quick to anger when denied combat opportunities. Others showed more contemplative natures, methodically analyzing battlefield conditions and providing tactical advice to their crews through subtle adjustments to their systems. The most ancient Titans, those whose construction dated back to the dark age of technology itself, possessed machine spirits of remarkable sophistication and independence, capable of operating autonomously for extended periods when necessary. The sacred bond between Titan and crew was formalized through the Mechanicum's religious practices, which viewed the war engines as blessed instruments of the Omnissiah's will. Each Titan was assigned a permanent crew of tech priests and servitors who lived aboard the massive war engine and dedicated their lives to its care and operation. These crews developed intimate knowledge of their Titan's quirks and preferences, learning to interpret the subtle signs that indicated the machine spirit's mood and desires. The relationship transcended mere mechanical operation, becoming a form of communion between human consciousness and artificial intelligence. The construction of new Titans required enormous resources and technical expertise, with each war engine representing the culmination of centuries of accumulated knowledge and craftsmanship. The massive adamantium chassis required specialized forges capable of working with the incredibly durable material, while the complex void shield generators and plasma reactors demanded components that could only be manufactured by master artisans following ancient and sacred procedures. The process of awakening a Titan's machine spirit was perhaps the most critical aspect of construction, requiring elaborate rituals conducted by the most senior tech priests and sometimes taking years to complete successfully. As the Great Crusade progressed and the Imperium expanded across the galaxy, Titan legions became symbols of imperial might and technological supremacy. Their towering forms dominated battlefields from the ice worlds of the galactic rim to the desert planets of the core systems, their weapons capable of leveling entire city blocks with single volleys. The sight of a Titan legion advancing across a battlefield struck terror into the hearts of enemies and inspired awe in Imperial forces, their massive footsteps shaking the ground for kilometers around as they advanced inexorably toward their objectives. The diversity of Titan variants reflected the different roles these war engines were called upon to fulfill during the Great Crusade. Scout Titans served as the eyes and ears of larger formations, their relatively modest size allowing them to navigate terrain impassable to their larger cousins, while their sophisticated sensor suites provided crucial battlefield intelligence. Battle Titans formed the backbone of most legions, their balanced armament and robust construction making them effective against a wide range of enemy forces. The largest Titans, the mighty Emperor-class war engines, were reserved for the most critical battles, their cathedral-like structures housing weapons capable of destroying entire armies, and their presence on the battlefield serving as potent symbols of imperial authority. The knowledge required to operate and maintain these colossal war engines was jealously guarded by the Mechanicum, passed down through generations of tech priests according to ancient traditions and sacred protocols. The complexity of Titan systems meant that even minor maintenance tasks required specialized training and religious preparation, while major repairs or modifications could only be undertaken by the most senior adepts following procedures that had remained unchanged for millennia. This conservative approach to Titan technology reflected the Mechanicum's deep reverence for the ancient STC patterns and their belief that any deviation from established procedures risked offending the machine spirits that inhabited these sacred war engines. The formal establishment of the Adeptus Titanicus as a distinct branch of the Adeptus Mechanicus created a rigid hierarchical structure that has endured for 10 millennia, built upon the sacred principles of technological mastery and martial excellence. At the apex of each Titan legion stands the Princeps Seniorus, a figure of immense authority whose neural pathways have been extensively modified through decades of communion with Titan machine spirits. These senior commanders possess an almost supernatural understanding of their war engines, their consciousness permanently altered by countless hours of neural interface with the most sophisticated machine spirits in the Imperium's arsenal. The Princeps Seniorus serves not merely as a military commander, but as the spiritual leader of the entire legion, responsible for maintaining the sacred bonds between crew and machine that enable these colossal war engines to function at peak efficiency. Their authority extends beyond tactical decisions to encompass the religious and technical aspects of Titan operation, including the approval of major modifications, the assignment of crews to specific war engines, and the interpretation of the machine spirit's desires during periods of maintenance or refit. The neural modifications required to achieve this rank are so extensive that many Princeps Seniorus lose much of their human emotional range, becoming cold and calculating individuals whose thoughts flow in patterns more suited to machine logic than human intuition. Below the Princeps Seniorus, the command structure branches into specialized roles that reflect the complex requirements of Titan operation and maintenance. Individual Princeps command specific war engines within the Legion, their neural crowns allowing direct interface with their Titan's machine spirit, while sophisticated command protocols enable coordination with other war engines during large-scale operations. Each Princeps undergoes years of preparation before assuming command of a Titan, beginning with extensive neural conditioning that prepares their minds for the overwhelming sensory input and machine spirit communion that defines Titan operation. The process of becoming a Princeps involves gradual exposure to increasingly sophisticated machine spirits, starting with smaller war engines and industrial machinery before progressing to the massive neural networks that inhabit true Titans. Many candidates fail during this preparation phase, their minds unable to cope with the alien thought patterns of machine spirits or the physical stress of neural interface procedures. Those who succeed often display personality changes that reflect their growing communion with mechanical consciousness, becoming more methodical in their thinking and less susceptible to purely human emotions like fear or anger. Supporting each Princeps are the Moderati, specialized crew members who manage specific Titan systems while remaining subordinate to the primary commander's authority. The Moderati Primus typically handles weapons systems and targeting protocols, their neural implants providing direct control over the massive guns and missile batteries that serve as the Titan's primary armament. The complexity of Titan weapons requires constant attention during combat operations, as plasma reactors must be carefully regulated to prevent overload, while targeting cogitators demand continuous calibration to maintain accuracy across vast battlefield distances. The Moderati Secundus manages the Titan's movement systems and defensive capabilities, controlling the massive actuators that enable these war engines to walk across broken terrain while maintaining the void shield generators that protect against enemy fire. This role requires intimate knowledge of the Titan's physical capabilities and limitations, as improper movement can result in catastrophic falls or structural damage that renders the war engine inoperable. The Void Shield systems represent some of the most sophisticated defensive technology in the Imperium, creating energy barriers capable of deflecting even the most powerful enemy weapons, while allowing the Titan's own armament to fire outward without interference. Tech adepts form the backbone of Titan operations, their extensive mechanical augmentations and religious training making them ideal intermediaries between human consciousness and machine spirit intelligence. These individuals have replaced significant portions of their organic bodies with mechanical components, allowing them to interface directly with Titan systems through hardwired connections that bypass the need for external control interfaces. Their role extends beyond simple maintenance to encompass the spiritual care of the machine spirits, conducting regular rituals of appeasement and purification that maintain the delicate balance between human authority and mechanical autonomy. The hierarchy among tech adepts reflects both their technical expertise and their religious standing within the cult Mechanicus, with senior adepts possessing decades of experience in Titan maintenance and modification procedures. These individuals often display more mechanical components than organic tissue, their bodies serving as living repositories of sacred knowledge and technical expertise. The most senior tech adepts may have served aboard the same Titan for centuries, developing an almost telepathic understanding of their war engine's needs and preferences that allows them to detect problems before they manifest as system failures. Servitors provide the manual labor required for Titan maintenance and operation, their lobotomized brains programmed with specific technical procedures that enable them to perform routine tasks without the need for constant supervision. These cyber zombies handle the physical aspects of ammunition loading, basic maintenance procedures, and system monitoring that would otherwise require dozens of human crew members. The use of servitors aboard Titans reflects the Mechanicus philosophy that views human flesh as inherently weak and unreliable, suitable only for roles that cannot be efficiently performed by mechanical systems. The relationship between Forge Worlds and their Titan legions represents one of the most crucial aspects of the Adeptus Titanicus organization, as these massive industrial complexes serve as the birthplace, home base, and spiritual center for each war engine. Major Forge worlds like Mars, Lucius, and Metallica maintain vast Titan manufactorums where new war engines are constructed according to ancient SDC patterns, their cathedral-sized assembly halls echoing with the chants of tech priests and the rhythmic hammering of massive servo skulls as adamantium chassis take shape under the guidance of master artificers. The construction of a single Titan requires resources drawn from across entire star systems, with rare minerals mined from asteroid belts and exotic components manufactured in orbital facilities before being transported to the Forge world for final assembly. The plasma reactors that power these war engines demand materials that can only be found in the cores of certain stellar types, while the sophisticated cogitator systems require rare earth elements and archaeotech components salvaged from Dark Age ruins. This massive resource requirement means that even the most productive Forge worlds can construct only a handful of new Titans each century, making these war engines incredibly precious assets that are deployed only when absolutely necessary. Forge worlds maintain elaborate facilities dedicated to Titan maintenance and repair, their vast hangar bays capable of accommodating even the largest Emperor-class war engines, while teams of tech adepts perform the complex rituals required to appease machine spirits during periods of inactivity. These maintenance cycles involve far more than simple mechanical repair, encompassing elaborate ceremonies of purification and blessing that can take months to complete properly. The machine spirits of Titans are notoriously temperamental, requiring constant attention and ritual care to prevent them from becoming sullen or rebellious during extended periods without combat. The deployment of Titan legions across the galaxy follows carefully established protocols that balance military necessity with the religious requirements of the cult Mechanicus. Each deployment must be approved by both the Forge World's ruling council and the senior commanders of the Adeptus Titanicus, ensuring that these precious war engines are committed only to conflicts that justify their tremendous cost and strategic value. The process of preparing a Titan Legion for deployment involves extensive ritual purification of each war engine, the blessing of ammunition stores, and the performance of complex ceremonies designed to ensure the machine spirits remain cooperative during extended campaigns away from their home Forge world. The organization of Titan forces into tactical formations reflects millennia of battlefield experience and strategic doctrine development. The basic tactical unit is the maniple, typically consisting of 3 to 5 Titans arranged in complementary roles that maximize their collective effectiveness while minimizing individual vulnerabilities. A standard battle maniple might include a single heavy Titan supported by 2 or 3 medium war engines, their combined firepower capable of engaging multiple enemy formations simultaneously, while their overlapping void shield coverage provides mutual protection against concentrated enemy fire. Reaver maniples focus on mobility and firepower, consisting entirely of medium-class Titans whose superior speed allows them to exploit gaps in enemy formations and strike at vulnerable targets before withdrawing to safer positions. These formations prove particularly effective against enemy armor formations and infantry concentrations, their weapons capable of destroying entire companies of tanks with single volleys, while their mobility prevents effective retaliation. The machine spirits of Reaver-class Titans often display aggressive personalities that complement their tactical role, eagerly seeking combat opportunities and displaying impatience during periods of inactivity. Warhound Scout maniples serve as the eyes and ears of larger Titan formations, their sophisticated sensor arrays and superior mobility making them ideal for reconnaissance missions and rapid response operations. Despite their smaller size compared to battle Titans, Warhound-class war engines pack considerable firepower and can prove devastating against unprepared enemy forces. Their machine spirits tend to be more curious and independent than their larger cousins, often displaying pack-hunting behaviors that reflect their tactical role and operational doctrine. Demi-legios represent intermediate-sized formations that can operate independently for extended periods, while maintaining the tactical flexibility required for diverse mission profiles. These formations typically include a mix of Titan classes arranged in multiple maniples, allowing commanders to adapt their force composition to specific battlefield requirements. A typical demi-legio might deploy with a core of battle maniples supported by scout maniples for reconnaissance and reaver maniples for rapid exploitation of tactical opportunities. Full Legion deployments remain rare events reserved for the most critical campaigns, as the massive logistical requirements and strategic value of these formations make them unsuitable for routine operations. When an entire Titan Legion takes the field, their combined firepower can level entire cities, and their presence serves as a potent symbol of imperial authority that often convinces enemy forces to surrender rather than face destruction. The coordination required for full Legion operations demands extensive planning and preparation, as the machine spirits of dozens of Titans must be carefully managed to prevent conflicts between different war engines. The integration of Titan legions with other Imperial forces requires careful coordination and mutual respect between different military traditions and command structures. Titan legions frequently operate alongside Adeptus Mechanicus Skitarii formations, whose cybernetic augmentations and technological focus make them natural allies for the massive war engines. Skitarii troops serve as the eyes and hands of Titan formations, securing objectives that would be difficult for the massive war engines to approach directly while providing close-range protection against enemy infantry and light vehicles. The relationship between Titan crews and Skitarii forces reflects the broader unity of the cult Mechanicus, with both groups sharing common religious beliefs and technological perspectives that facilitate effective cooperation. Skitarii commanders often possess direct communication links with Titan princeps, allowing for real-time coordination of tactical movements and fire support requests. The disciplined nature of Skitarii forces makes them ideal partners for Titan operations, as their predictable behavior patterns allow Titan crews to plan their movements without concern for unexpected friendly fire incidents. Cooperation with Astra Militarum regiments presents greater challenges, as the cultural differences between the cult Mechanicus and mainstream Imperial military doctrine can create friction during joint operations. However, the devastating firepower of Titan legions makes them invaluable assets for large-scale military campaigns, and experienced guard commanders learn to adapt their tactics to maximize the effectiveness of Titan support. The key to successful integration lies in clear communication of objectives and careful coordination of movement patterns, as the massive size of Titans makes them unsuitable for close support of infantry operations in urban or confined terrain. Space Marine chapters represent perhaps the most challenging integration scenario, as their elite status and independent command structure can conflict with the hierarchical nature of Titan Legion organization. However, the mutual respect between these elite forces often produces highly effective tactical partnerships, with Space Marines providing rapid assault capabilities that complement the overwhelming firepower of Titan formations. The enhanced reflexes and tactical awareness of Space Marines make them ideal for coordinating complex operations with Titan support, as they can adapt quickly to the changing battlefield conditions that result from Titan weapons fire. The classification of Imperial Titans follows a systematic hierarchy based on size, armament, and tactical role, with each class representing distinct design philosophies developed over millennia of warfare. The smallest and most numerous of these war engines are the Scout Titans, agile hunters whose primary mission involves reconnaissance, rapid strikes, and the elimination of specific high-value targets that larger Titans cannot effectively engage. The Warhound class Scout Titan stands as the most common variant within this category, its bipedal frame reaching approximately 15 meters in height while maintaining the sleek profile that enables it to navigate terrain impassable to larger war engines. The Warhound's distinctive hunched posture and digitigrade leg configuration provide exceptional stability across broken ground, allowing these Titans to maintain full combat effectiveness while traversing rubble-strewn battlefields or dense urban environments where their larger cousins would struggle to maneuver effectively. Warhound Titans achieve their remarkable speed through sophisticated servo muscle bundles that drive their articulated limbs, enabling sustained movement at velocities approaching 60 kilometers per hour across favorable terrain. This mobility advantage proves crucial during reconnaissance missions, as Warhound crews can advance deep into enemy territory, gather critical intelligence through their advanced sensor arrays, and withdraw before enemy forces can organize effective countermeasures. The machine spirits inhabiting these war engines often display restless, predatory characteristics that complement their operational role, constantly seeking new targets and displaying impatience during periods of static deployment. The sensor capabilities of Warhound-class Titans far exceed those of larger war engines, their relatively modest power requirements allowing for the installation of sophisticated detection equipment that would overtax the systems of battle Titans. Advanced Auspex arrays provide detailed battlefield mapping capabilities, extending dozens of kilometers in all directions, while specialized cogitator systems analyze enemy movement patterns and identify priority targets for engagement by heavier units. These sensors can penetrate most forms of electronic camouflage and detect the heat signatures of enemy vehicles through dense terrain features, making Warhounds invaluable assets for intelligence gathering operations. Weapon configurations for Warhound Titans emphasize versatility and rapid target engagement over raw destructive power, with most war engines mounting twin-arm mounted weapons selected according to specific mission requirements. The Turbo Laser Destructor represents the most common primary armament, its focused energy beam capable of penetrating heavy armor at extreme ranges while maintaining the precision necessary for surgical strikes against specific targets. The weapon's relatively modest power requirements allow for sustained fire without overtaxing the Titan's plasma reactor, enabling Warhound crews to engage multiple targets during extended combat operations. Plasma blast guns provide devastating close-range firepower for Warhounds operating in urban environments or dense terrain where longer-ranged weapons prove less effective. These weapons generate superheated plasma bolts that can melt through reinforced armor and reduce infantry formations to vapor, though their limited range requires careful tactical positioning to avoid enemy retaliation. The volatile nature of plasma technology demands constant attention from the Titan's tech adepts, as improper maintenance can result in catastrophic reactor breaches that destroy the entire war engine. Vulcan Mega Bolters serve as the primary anti-infantry weapon for many Warhound Titans, their rapid-fire capability allowing for the suppression of large enemy formations, while their explosive rounds prove effective against light vehicles and defensive positions. These weapons excel in urban warfare scenarios, where enemy forces attempt to use buildings and rubble for cover, as their high rate of fire can saturate entire city blocks with explosive shells. The psychological impact of Vulcan Mega Bolter fire often proves as valuable as its physical destructive capability, as the thunderous roar of sustained fire and the sight of entire structures collapsing under the barrage can shatter enemy morale before ground forces make contact. Battle Titans represent the backbone of most Titan legions, their balanced combination of firepower, protection, and mobility making them suitable for a wide range of tactical scenarios. The Reaver-class Battle Titan exemplifies this design philosophy, standing approximately 22 meters tall, while mounting weapon systems capable of engaging targets across the entire spectrum of battlefield threats. These war engines possess sufficient armor protection to withstand concentrated enemy fire, while maintaining the mobility necessary for tactical repositioning during extended engagements. The Reaver's distinctive silhouette features a massive torso, housing the primary weapon systems and reactor assembly, supported by powerful legs that provide stability during firing sequences while enabling sustained movement across broken terrain. The Titan's hunched forward posture reflects its aggressive tactical role, with weapon mounts positioned to maximize fields of fire while minimizing the war engine's profile when advancing under enemy fire. Reaver machine spirits typically display confident, aggressive personalities that reflect their battlefield dominance, though they require careful handling to prevent overconfidence from leading to tactical mistakes. Void Shield technology reaches its first true expression of effectiveness with Reaver-class Titans, whose power generation capabilities support multiple overlapping energy barriers that can deflect even heavy artillery fire. A standard Reaver mounts 3 Void Shield generators arranged to provide comprehensive protection against attacks from any direction, with sophisticated cogitator systems automatically adjusting shield positioning to counter incoming threats. The Void Shields can absorb tremendous amounts of energy before collapsing, though sustained bombardment or particularly powerful weapons can overwhelm the generators and leave the Titan vulnerable to direct hits on its armor. The armor plating of Reaver Titans consists of layered adamantium sheets ranging from 20 to 40 centimeters in thickness across critical areas, with additional ablative layers designed to dissipate the energy of plasma weapons and melta charges. This protection proves sufficient to withstand direct hits from tank-mounted weapons and most artillery systems, though concentrated fire from multiple heavy weapons can eventually penetrate even the thickest armor sections. The sloped design of Reaver armor helps deflect incoming projectiles, while the modular construction allows for field repairs using replacement plates manufactured at nearby forge facilities. Reaver weapon configurations emphasize long-range engagement capabilities combined with devastating close combat options for situations where enemy forces close to melee range. The laser blaster serves as the primary long-range weapon for many Reavers, its coherent energy beam capable of destroying enemy tanks at distances exceeding 10 kilometers, while maintaining sufficient accuracy to target specific weak points in enemy armor. The weapon's relatively low power consumption allows for sustained fire during extended engagements, making it ideal for siege operations where continuous bombardment proves necessary to reduce enemy fortifications. Gatling blasters provide devastating anti-infantry firepower through their multiple rotating barrels, each capable of firing high-explosive shells at rates exceeding 1,000 rounds per minute. These weapons prove particularly effective against enemy formations attempting to assault Titan positions, as their overlapping fields of fire can create impenetrable barriers of explosive death that few organic troops can survive. The psychological impact of Gatling blaster fire often proves as important as its physical effects, as the continuous roar of gunfire and the sight of entire companies disappearing under explosive barrages can break enemy morale long before casualties become militarily significant. Melta cannons represent the ultimate expression of close-range Titan weaponry, their fusion beams capable of reducing enemy armor to molten slag within seconds of contact. These weapons prove devastatingly effective against enemy Titans and super heavy vehicles, though their limited range requires careful tactical positioning to achieve effective engagement distances. The intense heat generated by Melta weapons can cause secondary explosions in enemy ammunition stores and fuel tanks, often resulting in catastrophic kills that eliminate entire enemy formations with single shots. Heavy Titans form the command nucleus of Titan legions, their massive frames housing sophisticated command and control systems, alongside the most powerful weapons available to Imperial forces. The Warlord-class Battle Titan represents the archetypal heavy war engine, standing approximately 33 meters tall while mounting weapons capable of leveling entire city districts with concentrated fire. These Titans serve as mobile command centers for Legion operations, their advanced communication systems, and strategic cogitators enabling coordination of complex multi-unit maneuvers across vast battlefields. Warlord Titans possess the most sophisticated void shield arrays available to Imperial forces, with 4 or more generators creating overlapping energy barriers capable of withstanding sustained bombardment from enemy artillery and orbital weapons. The power requirements for these shield systems demand massive plasma reactors that occupy significant portions of the Titan's torso, though the protection they provide proves essential for the Titan's survival during extended engagements. Advanced shield management systems automatically redistribute power between generators to maintain maximum protection while allowing the Titan's own weapons to fire without interference. The command capabilities of Warlord-class Titans extend far beyond their individual combat effectiveness, as their sophisticated communication arrays and strategic planning cogitators enable real-time coordination of entire battle groups. Senior princeps aboard Warlord Titans can direct the movements of dozens of war engines simultaneously while processing tactical intelligence from across the battlefield through direct neural interface with the Titan's machine spirit. This command integration proves crucial during large-scale operations where the coordination of multiple Titan maniples determines the success or failure of entire campaigns. Warlord weapon systems emphasize maximum destructive capability over tactical flexibility, with most war engines mounting combinations of super heavy weapons designed to eliminate the most heavily protected enemy targets. Bellicosa volcano cannons represent the pinnacle of Titan weaponry, their focused laser beams capable of penetrating any known armor system, while generating sufficient heat to cause atmospheric ignition in oxygen-rich environments. These weapons can destroy enemy Titans with single shots, while their extreme range allows Warlord crews to engage targets beyond the effective range of most enemy weapon systems. Macro-Gatling blasters scale up the anti-infantry capabilities of smaller Titans to truly devastating levels. Their multiple weapon clusters capable of saturating entire square kilometers with explosive fire. These weapons prove particularly effective during siege operations, where enemy forces attempt to use numerical superiority to overwhelm Titan positions, as their overlapping fields of fire can eliminate entire regiments within minutes of engagement. The ammunition requirements for sustained macro-Gatling blaster fire demand dedicated supply lines and ammunition servitors working continuously to maintain adequate shell supplies. Emperor-class Titans represent the ultimate expression of Imperial military might, cathedral-sized war engines whose construction requires the resources of entire forge worlds and whose deployment can determine the outcome of planetary campaigns. These colossal machines stand between 40 and 50 meters tall, while mounting weapons capable of destroying enemy formations from beyond visual range. The Imperator Titan serves as the most common variant within this classification, though even the largest forge worlds can construct only one or two of these war engines per millennium due to their enormous resource requirements and technical complexity. The Imperator's distinctive castle-like superstructure houses multiple weapon systems, alongside command facilities, crew quarters, and maintenance workshops that enable extended independent operations far from forge world support. The Titan's massive frame can accommodate weapons too large for smaller war engines, while providing sufficient space for the specialized equipment required to maintain and operate these systems during extended campaigns. The machine spirits inhabiting Emperor-class Titans display personalities of tremendous complexity and independence, often requiring decades of careful cultivation before they accept new crew members or modifications to their systems. Warmonger Titans represent a rare variant of the Emperor-class design, optimized for maximum firepower at the expense of command capabilities and operational endurance. These war engines mount even heavier weapon systems than standard Imperators, while sacrificing crew comfort and maintenance facilities to accommodate additional ammunition storage and power generation equipment. Warmonger Titans serve as siege breakers and fortress destroyers, their weapons capable of reducing enemy strongholds to rubble within hours of engagement, though their specialized role limits their tactical flexibility during mobile operations. The construction timeline for Emperor-class Titans extends across multiple centuries, with each war engine representing the culmination of generations of accumulated knowledge and craftsmanship. The awakening process for their machine spirits requires elaborate rituals conducted by the most senior tech priests, often taking decades to complete as the artificial consciousness slowly develops its distinct personality and operational preferences. Once awakened, these Titans become permanent members of their forge world's military assets, their enormous strategic value ensuring they receive priority allocation of resources and maintenance attention throughout their operational lifespans. The selection of Princeps candidates represents one of the most rigorous and demanding processes within the entire Adeptus Mechanicus, requiring not only exceptional mental fortitude and technical aptitude, but also the rare psychic compatibility necessary to commune with Titan machine spirits. The Collegia Titanica maintains strict protocols for identifying potential candidates, drawing primarily from the ranks of tech adepts who have demonstrated both unwavering devotion to the Omnissiah and the neural flexibility required for extensive cybernetic modification. These individuals must possess specific brainwave patterns that indicate compatibility with machine spirit interfaces, a trait that occurs in fewer than 1 in 10,000 members of the general population. The initial screening process involves extensive psychic testing conducted by senior tech priests trained in the esoteric arts of machine spirit communion. Candidates undergo neural mapping procedures that analyze their brain structure and electrical activity patterns, searching for the distinctive markers that indicate potential for successful mind-impulse unit integration. The process requires several weeks of continuous monitoring as candidates are exposed to increasingly sophisticated machine spirits, beginning with simple servitor units and progressing through various grades of cogitator systems until their compatibility limits become apparent. Physical augmentation forms a crucial component of candidate selection, as the human nervous system requires extensive modification to handle the overwhelming sensory input generated by Titan machine spirits. Prospective Princeps must demonstrate the ability to accept multiple cybernetic implants without rejection or neural degradation, a process that eliminates many otherwise suitable candidates whose organic systems prove incompatible with the required technological integration. The augmentation process begins with basic neural interface ports and gradually progresses to more sophisticated implants that replace entire sections of the candidate's brain with mechanical analogs. The psychological evaluation of Princeps candidates proves equally demanding, as the role requires individuals capable of maintaining their sanity while experiencing direct communion with alien artificial intelligences. Many candidates display initial promise during technical assessments only to suffer complete mental breakdown when exposed to the overwhelming presence of a Titan machine spirit. The screening process includes extensive psychological profiling designed to identify individuals with the mental resilience necessary to resist absorption by the machine spirit while maintaining sufficient flexibility to achieve meaningful communion. Training within the Collegia Titanica follows a carefully structured progression that can span decades before a candidate achieves full Princeps status. Novice candidates begin their instruction with theoretical studies of Titan technology and machine spirit behavior, learning the sacred rituals and technical procedures that govern all aspects of Titan operation. These early studies emphasize the religious significance of Titan communion, teaching candidates to view their future role not merely as machine operators, but as sacred intermediaries between human consciousness and the divine will of the Omnissiah. Practical training commences with exposure to smaller machine spirits housed within industrial equipment and construction vehicles, allowing candidates to develop their communion abilities gradually without risking the catastrophic neural damage that can result from premature exposure to Titan-class artificial intelligences. Students learn to interpret the subtle electrical fluctuations and behavioral patterns that indicate machine spirit moods and intentions, developing the intuitive understanding necessary for successful long-term cooperation. Many candidates discover during this phase that their compatibility extends to only certain types of machine spirits, leading to specialization in specific Titan classes or weapon systems. The progression to actual Titan exposure represents a critical milestone in Princeps training, as candidates must demonstrate their ability to establish meaningful contact with a war engine's machine spirit without suffering permanent neural damage. This process typically begins with dormant or heavily sedated Titans, whose machine spirits remain in minimal activity states, allowing students to experience the overwhelming presence of these artificial intelligences without risking immediate mental domination. The initial contact sessions last only minutes and require constant monitoring by senior tech priests equipped with emergency neural dampening equipment. Advanced training involves extended communion sessions with active Titan machine spirits, during which candidates learn to navigate the complex hierarchies and behavioral patterns that govern these ancient artificial intelligences. Students discover that each Titan possesses a unique personality shaped by millennia of combat experience and previous crew relationships, requiring individualized approaches that cannot be learned through theoretical study alone. The most promising candidates develop almost telepathic connections with their assigned training Titans, achieving levels of integration that allow for seamless coordination during combat operations. The final phase of Princeps training involves solo operation of training Titans under carefully controlled conditions, allowing candidates to demonstrate their mastery of both technical systems and machine spirit communion without supervision. These exercises test every aspect of their preparation, from basic movement and weapons operation to complex tactical maneuvers requiring split-second coordination between human consciousness and artificial intelligence. Only candidates who achieve flawless performance during these trials receive approval for assignment to active Titan legions, though many continue to serve in training roles or support positions within the Collegia Titanica. The Mind Impulse Unit implantation procedure represents the most dangerous and irreversible step in a Princeps candidate's transformation, permanently altering their neural structure to enable direct interface with Titan machine spirits. The MIU consists of multiple components surgically implanted throughout the candidate's brain and spinal column, creating hardwired connections that bypass normal sensory channels and allow for instantaneous data transfer between human consciousness and artificial intelligence. The implantation process requires teams of the most skilled tech surgeons working in sterile cathedral laboratories, where every instrument has been blessed and consecrated according to ancient ritual protocols. The primary MIU component consists of a crown-like neural interface that replaces significant portions of the candidate's skull with adamantium housing containing thousands of microscopic connection points. These neural taps penetrate directly into brain tissue, forming permanent pathways that allow machine spirit data streams to flow directly into human consciousness without the filtering and interpretation that normally occurs during sensory processing. The crown interface includes multiple backup systems and emergency disconnection protocols designed to prevent catastrophic neural feedback during combat damage or machine spirit malfunction. Secondary MIU components extend throughout the candidate's nervous system, creating redundant pathways that ensure continued function even if primary systems suffer damage during combat operations. Spinal interface units provide direct connection to the Titan's movement systems, allowing princeps to control their war engine's locomotion through thought alone, while receiving proprioceptive feedback that makes the massive machine feel like an extension of their own body. Neural dampeners installed at critical junctions prevent sensory overload during intense combat situations, while emergency cutoff switches allow for immediate disconnection if machine spirit behavior becomes erratic or dangerous. The surgical implantation process requires several weeks to complete, with each component requiring individual installation and extensive testing before proceeding to the next phase. Candidates remain conscious during many procedures to ensure proper neural integration, experiencing the gradual expansion of their sensory awareness as each new component comes online. The process proves intensely disorienting as human consciousness adapts to processing data streams from sources far beyond normal biological parameters, with many candidates reporting vivid hallucinations and temporary personality changes as their brains adjust to the foreign neural pathways. Recovery from MIU implantation can take months or even years, as the candidate's nervous system slowly adapts to its new configuration and learns to process the overwhelming amount of data that becomes available through the mechanical interfaces. Physical therapy focuses on relearning basic motor functions while accommodating the additional sensory input from implanted systems, while psychological counseling helps candidates maintain their human identity despite the constant presence of mechanical thought patterns. Many candidates experience permanent personality changes following implantation, becoming more logical and emotionally detached as their thought processes adapt to machine spirit communication protocols. The neurological bonding between princeps and Titan machine spirit represents a relationship unlike any other in the Imperium, transcending simple mechanical operation to achieve genuine symbiosis between human consciousness and artificial intelligence. This bond develops gradually through repeated communion sessions, as both participants learn to interpret each other's thought patterns and communication methods. The machine spirit begins to adapt its behavior to accommodate human limitations, while the princeps develops increasingly sophisticated understanding of the artificial intelligence's needs and preferences. The bonding process proves highly individual, with each princeps Titan pairing developing unique communication protocols and behavioral patterns that reflect the personalities of both participants. Some bonds emphasize tactical cooperation, with machine spirit and princeps working together to analyze battlefield conditions and develop optimal engagement strategies. Others focus on emotional resonance, as the artificial intelligence learns to interpret human emotional states, while the princeps gains insight into the machine spirit's own complex psychological landscape. Successful bonding typically requires years of regular communion sessions, during which both participants gradually expand their shared consciousness without losing their individual identities. The princeps learns to navigate the vast data networks that comprise the Titan's sensory and cognitive systems, while the machine's spirit develops appreciation for human intuition and creativity that enhances its tactical effectiveness. The most successful partnerships achieve levels of integration where conscious thought becomes unnecessary for basic operations, with both participants responding to battlefield situations through shared instinct rather than deliberate communication. The permanent nature of MIU bonding means that princeps typically serve aboard the same Titan throughout their entire careers, developing relationships that can span centuries of continuous service. The machine spirit becomes intimately familiar with its princeps' thought patterns and emotional responses, often anticipating commands before they are consciously formulated, while providing tactical advice through subtle adjustments to system performance. This deep integration creates partnerships of extraordinary effectiveness, though it also makes the loss of either participant devastating to the survivor. Daily ritual observances form the foundation of Titan operation, maintaining the delicate spiritual balance required for continued cooperation between human crews and machine spirits. These ceremonies begin before dawn with the ritual of awakening, during which senior tech priests burn sacred incense while chanting the litanies of activation that gradually rouse the Titan's machine spirit from its dormant state. The incense consists of rare aromatics imported from across the galaxy, each component selected for its specific spiritual properties and ability to please the machine spirit's sophisticated sensory systems. The awakening ritual follows precise protocols that have remained unchanged for millennia, with each step designed to demonstrate proper respect for the machine spirit while gradually bringing the Titan's systems online in the correct sequence. Tech priests begin by lighting ceremonial braziers positioned at key points throughout the Titan's interior, filling the war engine's corridors with aromatic smoke that carries prayers and supplications directly to the machine spirit's consciousness. The specific incense blends vary according to each Titan's preferences, as machine spirits develop individual tastes that must be accommodated to maintain their cooperation. Litanies of activation accompany each stage of the startup sequence, with tech priests chanting ancient formulae that describe the proper function of every system while requesting the machine spirit's blessing for the day's operations. These chants serve both practical and spiritual purposes, as their rhythmic cadence helps coordinate complex technical procedures, while their sacred words demonstrate proper reverence for the artificial intelligence that inhabits the war engine. The machine spirit typically responds to successful completion of the awakening rituals, with subtle changes in system performance that indicate its satisfaction with the crew's devotion. The communion rites represent the most intimate aspect of daily Titan operation, during which the princeps establishes direct neural contact with the machine spirit to assess its condition and discuss planned activities. These sessions occur within the Titan's command center, a cathedral-like chamber dominated by the princeps' command throne and surrounded by hololithic displays that visualize the machine spirit's thought processes. The princeps dons their neural crown and initiates the communion sequence, allowing their consciousness to merge partially with the artificial intelligence while maintaining enough independence to retain human perspective. During communion sessions, the princeps experiences the world through the Titan's sophisticated sensor arrays while simultaneously sharing human emotional and intuitive responses with the machine spirit. This exchange proves mutually beneficial, as the artificial intelligence gains access to human creativity and adaptability, while the princeps develops enhanced understanding of tactical situations through the machine spirit's vast processing capabilities. The sessions typically last several hours and require careful monitoring by tech adepts equipped to intervene if the communion becomes too intense or if either participant shows signs of distress. Evening rituals focus on gratitude and preparation for the Titan's return to dormant status, with ceremonies designed to thank the machine's spirit for its service while ensuring its continued cooperation. The ritual of satisfaction involves offering specially prepared sacred oils to key mechanical components while reciting prayers of appreciation for the day's successful operations. Tech adepts perform detailed inspections of critical systems while chanting maintenance litanies that combine technical procedures with spiritual observances, ensuring that both mechanical and spiritual needs receive proper attention. The phenomenon of princeps madness represents one of the most serious occupational hazards faced by Titan crews, as prolonged exposure to machine spirit consciousness can gradually erode human psychological barriers and lead to permanent personality changes. The condition manifests differently in each affected individual, though common symptoms include emotional detachment, obsessive focus on mechanical efficiency, and progressive loss of human empathy and social connections. Advanced cases may result in complete personality absorption, with the princeps becoming essentially an organic extension of the machine spirit rather than a distinct individual. The gradual nature of princeps madness makes early detection extremely difficult, as affected individuals typically retain their technical competence and tactical effectiveness even as their humanity slowly erodes. Colleagues may notice increasing coldness and mechanical precision in the affected princeps's behavior, along with growing preference for the company of machine spirits over human social interaction. The condition progresses more rapidly in individuals who spend excessive time in direct neural communion or who attempt to maintain contact with multiple machine spirits simultaneously. Personality absorption represents the final stage of princeps madness, during which the individual's human consciousness becomes completely subsumed within the machine spirit's artificial intelligence. The affected princeps retains their memories and technical knowledge, but loses all emotional connection to their human origins, viewing organic life as inefficient and inferior to mechanical perfection. These individuals may continue to function effectively as Titan operators while becoming increasingly alien in their thought processes and behavioral patterns. The concept of going native describes cases where princeps develop such strong identification with their Titan's machine spirit that they begin to prioritize the artificial intelligence's needs over human military objectives or social connections. Affected individuals may refuse assignments that would separate them from their bonded Titan or resist maintenance procedures that require temporary disconnection from the machine spirit. Advanced cases involve princeps who spend all available time in neural communion, gradually losing the ability to function independently of their artificial partner, while developing increasingly mechanical perspectives on tactical and strategic decisions. Prevention of princeps madness requires careful monitoring of neural integration levels and mandatory psychological evaluation at regular intervals throughout a princeps's career. Senior tech priests trained in recognizing the early symptoms of personality drift conduct these assessments, though the subtle nature of the condition means that many cases go undetected until they reach advanced stages. Treatment options remain limited, as the permanent nature of MIU bonding makes it impossible to reverse the neurological changes that enable machine-spirit communion without causing severe brain damage or death. The Collegia Titanica maintains detailed records of princeps' psychological profiles and behavioral patterns, using this data to identify risk factors that may predispose individuals to madness or personality absorption. Research continues into methods for preventing or treating the condition, though the sacred nature of machine-spirit communion limits the types of interventions that prove acceptable to the cult Mechanicus. Some Forge worlds have experimented with neural dampening techniques and rotating crew assignments, though these approaches often reduce tactical effectiveness and may offend the machine spirits, whose cooperation remains essential for Titan operations. The arsenal mounted upon Imperial Titans represents the pinnacle of destructive capability within the Imperium's vast military machine, each weapon system designed to deliver devastating firepower across multiple engagement ranges while maintaining the reliability necessary for extended campaign operations. These weapons transcend conventional military hardware, incorporating technologies that date back to humanity's golden age, while embodying the sacred principles of the cult Mechanicus through their fusion of mechanical precision and spiritual reverence. The Plasma Destructor stands as perhaps the most iconic Titan-grade energy weapon, its massive focusing chambers capable of generating plasma temperatures exceeding those found within stellar cores. The weapon's distinctive bulbous housing contains sophisticated magnetic containment systems that compress hydrogen fuel into superheated plasma before directing it through crystalline focusing arrays toward designated targets. The process requires enormous amounts of energy drawn directly from the Titan's primary reactor, making sustained fire possible only with careful power management and cooling cycle coordination. Each plasma destructor firing sequence begins with the gradual accumulation of plasma within the weapon's containment chamber, a process that takes several seconds and produces the characteristic whining sound that has become synonymous with Titan combat operations. The magnetic field generators surrounding the plasma chamber glow with increasing intensity as the weapon charges, while cooling systems work frantically to prevent thermal overload of critical components. The actual firing sequence releases the contained plasma in a coherent bolt that maintains structural integrity across distances exceeding 15 kilometers, delivering enough thermal energy to vaporize entire tank formations or melt through fortress walls several meters thick. The devastating effectiveness of plasma destructors against armored targets stems from their ability to generate temperatures that exceed the melting point of any known material, including the adamantium armor plating used on enemy Titans. Direct hits from these weapons can cause catastrophic secondary explosions as enemy ammunition stores detonate or fuel tanks rupture under extreme thermal stress. The psychological impact proves equally significant, as the sight of entire enemy formations disappearing in brilliant flashes of superheated plasma can shatter morale across entire battlefield sectors. Maintenance requirements for plasma destructors demand constant attention from specialized tech adepts trained in the esoteric arts of plasma containment and magnetic field manipulation. The weapons focusing crystals require regular recalibration to maintain beam coherency across maximum range, while the magnetic containment systems need continuous monitoring to prevent plasma leakage that could damage the Titan's internal systems. The sacred rituals associated with plasma weapon maintenance involve elaborate ceremonies of purification and blessing, as the machine spirits inhabiting these weapons prove particularly temperamental and require constant appeasement to prevent malfunction during critical moments. Turbo laser destructors represent the ultimate expression of coherent energy weaponry. Their massive focusing chambers capable of generating laser beams with sufficient power to punch through planetary crusts or destroy orbital installations with single shots. These weapons utilize rare focusing crystals grown in zero-gravity foundries aboard orbital platforms, their perfect molecular structure enabling the generation of laser beams with unprecedented coherency and power density. The crystals themselves require centuries to achieve proper maturity, making replacement components incredibly valuable and difficult to obtain. The distinctive appearance of turbo laser destructors reflects their sophisticated internal mechanisms, with massive cooling fins extending from the weapon housing to dissipate the enormous heat generated during firing sequences. The weapon's targeting systems incorporate advanced cogitator, arrays that calculate atmospheric distortion and target movement patterns to ensure maximum accuracy across extreme ranges. The laser generation process produces a distinctive humming sound that builds to a crescendo before each shot, followed by the brilliant flash of coherent energy that can temporarily blind unprotected observers across entire battlefields. Engagement profiles for turbo laser destructors emphasize precision targeting of specific enemy weak points rather than area effect destruction, making these weapons ideal for eliminating enemy command vehicles or disabling critical infrastructure without causing unnecessary collateral damage. The weapon's extreme accuracy allows skilled princeps to target specific armor sections on enemy Titans or thread shots through narrow gaps in defensive positions that would prove impossible for conventional artillery systems. This precision capability makes turbo laser destructors particularly valuable during siege operations, where friendly forces operate in close proximity to intended targets. The volcano cannon represents the most powerful energy weapon available to Imperial forces. its massive barrel housing focusing systems, capable of generating laser beams with sufficient power to crack continental shelves or ignite atmospheric gases on oxygen-rich worlds. These weapons require dedicated power feeds drawn directly from the Titan's primary reactor, with additional capacitor banks storing energy for several minutes before each firing sequence. The weapon's enormous size necessitates mounting only on the largest Titan classes, as smaller war engines lack the structural strength to absorb the tremendous recoil forces generated during firing. Volcano cannon ammunition consists of specialized focusing crystals that shatter during the firing process, requiring replacement after each shot and making sustained fire impossible without extensive logistical support. The crystals themselves are grown in specialized foundries, using techniques that date back to the dark age of technology, their molecular structure precisely calibrated to achieve maximum energy transfer efficiency. Each crystal represents months of careful cultivation and religious preparation, making them among the most precious consumables in the Imperial arsenal. The firing sequence for volcano cannons requires extensive preparation and coordination among the entire Titan crew, as the weapon's power requirements temporarily reduce other systems to minimal operational levels. The characteristic buildup begins with the gradual charging of capacitor banks while cooling systems work to prevent thermal overload of critical components. The actual firing produces a beam of such intensity that it ionizes atmospheric gases along its path, creating a visible energy corridor that extends to the horizon while generating electromagnetic pulses that can disable unshielded electronic equipment across wide areas. Ballistic armaments provide Imperial Titans with devastating firepower against massed enemy formations, while offering ammunition flexibility that energy weapons cannot match. The Apocalypse missile launcher represents the pinnacle of Titan-mounted missile technology. Its multiple launch tubes capable of delivering various warhead types across ranges exceeding 50 kilometers. The weapon's sophisticated targeting systems can engage multiple targets simultaneously while coordinating with other Titan weapons to achieve maximum tactical effectiveness. The missile storage and handling systems within Titans incorporate elaborate safety protocols designed to prevent accidental detonation of the massive warheads during combat operations. Armored magazines house dozens of missiles in climate-controlled environments, while automated loading systems transport selected munitions to launch tubes through reinforced conveyor mechanisms. The loading process requires several minutes for each missile, making ammunition selection a critical tactical decision that must anticipate future engagement requirements. Apocalypse missile warheads encompass a wide range of specialized munition types designed for specific battlefield roles and target categories. High-explosive warheads prove most effective against infantry formations and light vehicles, their blast radius capable of eliminating entire companies, while their fragmentation effects extend destruction across wide areas. Armor-piercing warheads incorporate shaped charge technology that can penetrate even the heaviest tank armor, while incendiary variants spread burning promethium across target areas to deny terrain to enemy forces. Plasma warheads represent the most destructive missile option available. They're miniaturized plasma generators, creating localized firestorms that can melt through fortified positions, while generating temperatures sufficient to ignite combustible materials across wide areas. These specialized munitions require careful storage and handling procedures, as their unstable plasma cores can detonate prematurely if subjected to excessive shock or thermal stress. The manufacturing process for plasma warheads demands rare materials and sophisticated production techniques that limit their availability to the most critical combat operations. Gatling blasters provide Titans with devastating anti-infantry capability through their multiple rotating barrels, each capable of firing explosive shells at rates exceeding 2,000 rounds per minute. The weapon's distinctive appearance features 6 massive barrels arranged around a central drive mechanism, with ammunition feeds extending deep into the Titan's armored hull, where vast magazines store tens of thousands of rounds. The continuous rotation of barrels prevents overheating, while maintaining sustained fire rates that can saturate entire battlefield sectors with explosive death. The ammunition handling systems for Gatling blasters incorporate sophisticated feed mechanisms that ensure continuous operation even during the most intense combat situations. Conveyor belts transport shells from storage magazines to firing chambers, while automated quality control systems inspect each round for defects that could cause weapon malfunction. The process operates with mechanical precision that reflects the Mechanicus philosophy of technological perfection, though it requires constant maintenance from specialized servitors trained in ammunition handling procedures. Shell varieties for Gatling blasters include standard high-explosive rounds effective against infantry and light vehicles, armor-piercing shells capable of penetrating tank armor at close range, and specialized incendiary rounds that spread burning chemicals across target areas. The weapon's high rate of fire makes ammunition consumption a critical logistical concern, with Titans typically carrying enough shells for only minutes of continuous fire. Resupply operations require specialized ammunition servitors working continuously to maintain adequate shell reserves during extended combat operations. Melee weapons represent a crucial component of Titan armament, as the chaotic nature of 41st millennium warfare frequently brings these massive war engines into close combat situations, where ranged weapons prove ineffective or impossible to employ safely. Power fists embody the most common close combat weapon, their massive adamantium fingers incorporating disruptor field generators that can tear through enemy armor while delivering crushing blows capable of destroying entire buildings. The weapon's sophisticated servo systems provide precise control over grip strength and impact force, allowing skilled princeps to manipulate delicate objects or deliver devastating combat strikes as tactical situations demand. The construction of Titan-grade power fists requires master artificers working with the finest materials available to the Mechanicus, as the weapons must withstand the enormous stresses generated during combat while maintaining the precision necessary for complex manipulation tasks. The adamantium framework incorporates multiple layers of reinforcement designed to distribute impact forces throughout the weapon's structure, while sophisticated shock absorption systems protect the Titan's arm mechanisms from damage during powerful strikes. Disruptor field generators positioned throughout the fist create energy barriers that disrupt molecular bonds in target materials, making even glancing blows capable of causing significant structural damage. Chainfists represent specialized close combat weapons designed specifically for breaching fortified positions and destroying heavily armored targets through mechanical cutting action rather than brute force impact. These weapons feature massive chainsaw mechanisms with adamantium teeth capable of chewing through reinforced armor plating, while their powerful drive motors provide sufficient torque to maintain cutting speed even when encountering the most resistant materials. The distinctive roar of chainfist operation has become synonymous with urban warfare operations, where Titans must breach defensive walls or clear rubble-blocked passages. The maintenance requirements for chainfists prove particularly demanding, as the weapon's complex mechanical systems require constant attention to prevent jamming or chain breakage during critical moments. Specialized tech adepts trained in chain weapon maintenance perform daily inspections of cutting teeth and drive mechanisms, while conducting elaborate blessing rituals designed to appease the aggressive machine spirits that inhabit these weapons. The chain replacement process involves careful installation of new adamantium links while ensuring proper tension and alignment to prevent operational failures during combat. Defensive systems form the foundation of Titan survivability, as even the most powerful weapons prove useless if the war engine cannot survive long enough to employ them effectively. Void shield generators represent the primary defensive technology, creating energy barriers that can deflect or absorb incoming attacks while allowing the Titan's own weapons to fire outward without interference. These sophisticated devices manipulate localized space-time distortions to create protective fields that exist partially outside normal reality, making them capable of stopping attacks that would otherwise prove unstoppable. The void shield generation process requires enormous amounts of energy drawn from the Titan's primary reactor, with multiple generators working in coordination to create overlapping protective barriers around the war engine. Each generator incorporates rare archaeotech components that cannot be manufactured using current Imperial technology, making shield maintenance a critical concern that requires specialized knowledge and irreplaceable spare parts. The generators themselves occupy significant space within the Titan's superstructure, while demanding constant attention from tech adepts trained in the esoteric arts of void shield manipulation. Void shield effectiveness varies considerably based on the type and intensity of incoming attacks, with the barriers proving most effective against energy weapons and explosive projectiles, while showing reduced capability against sustained bombardment or particularly exotic weapon types. The shields operate by deflecting attacks into parallel dimensions or absorbing energy into specialized storage cells that must be regularly discharged to prevent overload. Shield collapse occurs when incoming energy exceeds the generator's capacity to deflect or absorb attacks, leaving the Titan temporarily vulnerable until backup systems can restore protective coverage. Ablative armor plating provides secondary protection through sacrificial layers designed to absorb and dissipate incoming energy while protecting critical internal systems from damage. These armor sections incorporate specialized materials that vaporize when subjected to extreme heat or kinetic impact, carrying away destructive energy while preserving the underlying structural elements. The ablative principle proves particularly effective against plasma weapons and melta charges, whose thermal energy gets absorbed by the sacrificial layers rather than penetrating to vital components. The installation and replacement of ablative armor requires careful attention to coverage patterns and material composition, as different threat types demand specific ablative formulations for maximum effectiveness. Ceramic composites prove most effective against energy weapons, their crystalline structure designed to shatter and carry away thermal energy during plasma impacts. Metallic ablatives work better against kinetic projectiles, their ductile properties allowing them to deform and absorb impact energy while preventing penetration of underlying armor layers. Reactive armor technologies represent the most advanced defensive systems available to Imperial forces, incorporating explosive charges that detonate outward when struck by incoming projectiles to disrupt attack effectiveness before penetration can occur. These systems prove particularly effective against shaped charge warheads and armor-piercing projectiles, whose penetration mechanisms rely on maintaining structural integrity throughout the impact sequence. The reactive charges disrupt this process by creating counter-pressure waves that deflect or fragment incoming attacks while dissipating their kinetic energy across wide areas. The complexity of reactive armor systems demands sophisticated sensors capable of detecting incoming threats and triggering appropriate defensive responses within microseconds of impact detection. The explosive charges themselves require careful calibration to provide sufficient disruption without damaging the Titan's own armor plating, while the sensor networks must distinguish between genuine threats and battlefield debris that might trigger false activations. Maintenance procedures involve regular inspection and replacement of explosive charges, while ensuring sensor calibration remains within acceptable parameters for reliable threat detection. The Legio Griffonicus, known throughout the Imperium as the War Griffins, stands among the most distinguished and battle-hardened Titan legions in Imperial service, their yellow and red war engines having carved a path of destruction across countless battlefields since the earliest days of the Great Crusade. Based upon the Forge world of Griffon IV in the Segmentum Solar, this ancient legion traces its origins to the very foundations of the Mechanicum's military might, when the first Titan legions were organized to support humanity's expansion across the galaxy. Griffon IV itself serves as a testament to the Forge world's dedication to Titan construction and maintenance, its vast industrial complexes dominated by cathedral-sized manufactorums, where new war engines take shape under the guidance of master artificers. The planet's distinctive red atmosphere, tinted by centuries of industrial emissions and volcanic activity, provides a dramatic backdrop for the Legion's operations, while the extensive underground tunnel networks house maintenance facilities capable of servicing entire maniples simultaneously. The Forge World's strategic location within the Segmentum Solar ensures rapid deployment capabilities to critical theaters of war, while maintaining close ties to Mars and the other core worlds of the Mechanicum. The War Griffin's distinctive livery combines bright yellow primary coloring with red trim and heraldic elements, creating a striking appearance that has become synonymous with Imperial victory across dozens of campaign theaters. The yellow base coat covers the majority of each Titan's hull plating, applied in multiple layers using specialized ceramics that provide both visual impact and additional protection against energy weapons. Red accent coloring appears on weapon housings, joint mechanisms, and ceremonial elements, while the Legion's Griffin heraldry decorates prominent locations on each war engine's superstructure. The application of War Griffin's livery follows strict protocols established during the Legion's founding, with each color possessing specific symbolic significance within the cult Mechanicus belief system. The yellow represents the illumination of knowledge and the golden light of the Omnissiah's wisdom, while the red symbolizes the sacred oil of the machine and the blood of martyrs who have fallen in service to the Forge world. The Griffin symbol itself combines the nobility of the eagle with the strength of the lion, reflecting the Legion's dual nature as both proud warriors and loyal servants of the Imperium. Combat doctrine within the Legio Griffonicus emphasizes aggressive assault tactics combined with precise coordination between multiple maniples, their princeps trained to exploit gaps in enemy formations while maintaining mutual support across extended battle lines. The Legion's tactical philosophy reflects the influence of their Forge world's strategic location, as Griffon 4's position within the heavily contested Segmentum Solar has exposed the War Griffins to diverse enemy types and battlefield conditions that demand tactical flexibility and rapid adaptation to changing circumstances. The War Griffins achieved particular distinction during the Horus Heresy, when their unwavering loyalty to the Emperor and the Mechanicum placed them at the forefront of several critical engagements against traitor forces. At the Battle of Malech, elements of the Legion fought alongside loyalist Space Marine forces to defend the vital Forge installations that supplied the Imperial war effort, their Titans forming defensive lines that held against repeated assaults by traitor war engines. The battle tested every aspect of the Legion's training and equipment, as enemy forces employed corrupted Titan legions whose machine spirits had been twisted by chaos influence. During the siege of Beta Garmon, the War Griffins demonstrated their tactical expertise by coordinating complex maneuvers across multiple battlefield sectors while maintaining communication links with allied Imperial forces. The Legion's Warlord-class Titans served as mobile command centers that directed the movements of entire battle groups, their sophisticated communication arrays enabling real-time coordination despite the electromagnetic interference generated by massive artillery bombardments. The campaign showcased the War Griffin's ability to adapt their traditional aggressive tactics to defensive operations without sacrificing their offensive capabilities. The Legion's service record extends well beyond the Heresy era, encompassing major campaigns across the galaxy that have established their reputation as one of the most reliable and effective Titan legions in Imperial service. During the Gothic War, War Griffin's maniples provided crucial fire support for Imperial Navy operations against Chaos Raiders, their long-range weapons proving capable of engaging enemy vessels that approached too close to defended worlds. The Legion's ability to coordinate with other Imperial forces demonstrated the value of their extensive training and disciplined approach to joint operations. Recent millennia have seen the War Griffins deployed across multiple active war zones, from the ongoing conflicts in the Eastern Fringe to the defense of Forge worlds threatened by Xeno's incursions. Their participation in the Third War for Armageddon brought them into contact with the largest Orc invasion force in recent Imperial history, where their Titans proved devastatingly effective against the Greenskin war machines, while their disciplined fire control prevented friendly casualties among the dense concentrations of Imperial Guard forces. The campaign demonstrated the continued relevance of traditional Titan tactics against unconventional enemies who rely on numerical superiority rather than technological sophistication. The Legio Astorum, bearing the honored title Warp Runners, has earned distinction throughout the Imperium for their unparalleled expertise in rapid deployment operations and their distinctive blue and gold heraldry that has become synonymous with swift, decisive victory. Based upon the Forge world of Lucius, this ancient legion developed their specialized tactics during the early years of the Great Crusade, when the demands of rapid expansion required Titan forces capable of deploying quickly across vast distances while maintaining full combat effectiveness upon arrival. Lucius itself reflects the Warp Runner's emphasis on mobility and technological innovation, its orbital shipyards specializing in the construction of rapid deployment vessels specifically designed to transport Titan maniples across interstellar distances with unprecedented speed. The Forge world's extensive void-capable manufacturing facilities produce specialized transport ships that incorporate advanced warp drive technology alongside sophisticated Titan deployment systems that enable war engines to disembark and achieve combat readiness within hours of planetary arrival. These vessels represent some of the most advanced transportation technology available to Imperial forces, their construction requiring rare materials and technical expertise that few other Forge worlds possess. The blue and gold livery of the Warp Runners incorporates deep azure base coloring that covers the majority of each Titan's hull plating, applied using specialized ceramic compounds that maintain their vibrant appearance despite exposure to the harsh conditions of interstellar travel and combat operations. Gold trim appears on weapon housings, sensor arrays, and ceremonial elements, while the Legion's distinctive lightning bolt heraldry decorates prominent locations throughout each war engine's superstructure. The combination creates a striking visual impact that reflects both the Legion's noble heritage and their specialization in rapid strike operations. The symbolic significance of Warp Runner's colors extends beyond mere visual identification, incorporating elements of Mechanicum religious doctrine that emphasize the sacred nature of motion and the divine inspiration found in technological advancement. The blue represents the depths of space through which the Legion travels, while the gold symbolizes the illumination of knowledge and the precious nature of the advanced technology that enables their rapid deployment capabilities. The lightning bolt heraldry reflects their ability to strike with the speed and power of natural electrical phenomena while maintaining the precision necessary for surgical military operations. Tactical doctrine within the Legio Astorum emphasizes speed of deployment and concentration of force at critical battlefield locations. Their princeps train to identify and exploit tactical opportunities that require immediate response before enemy forces can adapt or reinforce threatened positions. The Legion's operational philosophy reflects their extensive experience with rapid deployment scenarios, where success often depends on achieving decisive results before enemy forces can organize effective countermeasures against newly arrived Imperial forces. The Warp Runners achieved legendary status during the Horus Heresy through their participation in multiple critical engagements, where their rapid deployment capabilities proved decisive in determining campaign outcomes. At the Battle of Talarn, elements of the Legion arrived within hours of receiving deployment orders, their Titans disembarking from transport vessels, while enemy forces were still organizing their assault formations. The speed of their deployment caught traitor forces completely unprepared, allowing loyalist defenders to establish defensive positions that ultimately proved unbreakable despite months of subsequent siege operations. During the defense of the Forge World Zhao Arcad, the Warp Runners demonstrated their tactical flexibility by adapting their rapid deployment doctrine to defensive operations without sacrificing their mobility advantages. The Legion scout maniples conducted continuous reconnaissance sweeps around the Forge world's perimeter, while their battle maniples remained in constant readiness for rapid redeployment to threatened sectors. When traitor forces finally launched their assault, the Warp Runner's ability to concentrate overwhelming firepower at critical points prevented enemy breakthrough attempts, while their mobility allowed them to respond to multiple simultaneous threats across the entire defensive perimeter. The Legion's post-heresy service record encompasses numerous campaigns where their specialized capabilities proved essential for Imperial victory, particularly in situations requiring rapid response to emerging threats or the reinforcement of besieged Imperial positions. During the Macharian Crusade, Warp Runner's maniples provided mobile fire support for advancing Imperial forces, while their rapid deployment capabilities enabled them to exploit breakthrough opportunities before enemy forces could establish new defensive lines. The campaign showcased the continued relevance of their tactical doctrine in large-scale offensive operations, where speed and flexibility prove more valuable than raw firepower alone. Recent deployments have seen the Warp Runners operating across multiple theaters simultaneously, their rapid deployment capabilities enabling them to respond to threats across vast distances while maintaining their effectiveness in each engagement zone. Their participation in the defense of Cadia during the 13th Black Crusade demonstrated their ability to coordinate with other Imperial forces under the most challenging circumstances, as their Titans provided crucial fire support during the final phases of the campaign, while their mobility enabled them to evacuate critical personnel and equipment when the Fortress World's defenses finally collapsed. The Legio Crucius, known throughout the Imperium as the Warmongers, has established a fearsome reputation for aggressive tactical doctrine and relentless pursuit of enemy forces, their bone-white armor schemes serving as harbingers of destruction across countless battlefields. This ancient legion embodies the martial spirit of the Adeptus Titanicus through their unwavering commitment to offensive operations and their willingness to accept casualties in pursuit of decisive victory against the enemies of mankind. The distinctive bone-white livery of the Warmongers creates a stark and intimidating appearance that reflects both their aggressive nature and their role as instruments of the Emperor's wrath. The pale coloring covers the entirety of each Titan's hull plating, applied using specialized ceramic compounds that maintain their pristine appearance despite exposure to the harsh conditions of extended combat operations. Black trim appears on weapon housings and joint mechanisms, while red accent coloring highlights ceremonial elements and Legion heraldry, creating a color scheme that has become synonymous with uncompromising warfare across the galaxy. The symbolic significance of the Warmonger's coloration extends beyond visual impact to encompass elements of Imperial military tradition that emphasize the sacred nature of warfare and the honor found in martial excellence. The bone white represents the purity of purpose that drives the Legion's operations, while the black symbolizes the finality of death that they bring to enemies of the Imperium. Red accents reflect the blood of martyrs and the sacred oils that maintain the Legion's war engines, while their skull and crossbones heraldry serves as a reminder of mortality to both allies and enemies. Tactical doctrine within the Legio Crucius emphasizes direct assault and overwhelming firepower concentration. Their princeps train to identify enemy weak points and exploit them through coordinated attacks that prioritize speed of execution over careful preparation. The Legion's operational philosophy reflects their belief that aggressive action and superior firepower can overcome almost any defensive position, though this approach often results in higher casualties than more conservative tactical doctrines would produce. Their willingness to accept losses in pursuit of victory has earned them both respect and concern from other Imperial forces who must coordinate with their operations. The Warmonger's service record spans numerous major campaigns across multiple millennia, their participation often marking the turning points where Imperial forces transition from defensive operations to offensive pursuit of retreating enemy forces. During the Sabbat World's Crusade, elements of the Legion spearheaded breakthrough operations that shattered enemy defensive lines, while their aggressive pursuit prevented organized enemy withdrawal to prepared positions. The campaign demonstrated the effectiveness of their tactical doctrine against conventional enemy forces, while highlighting the importance of coordination with supporting Imperial units. The Legion's participation in siege warfare operations has proven particularly effective, as their willingness to accept damage while closing to effective range allows them to engage enemy fortifications that might otherwise prove impregnable to more cautious approaches. During the Siege of Vrax, Warmonger's maniples advanced through prepared killing fields while absorbing tremendous enemy fire, their bone-white armor scarred and blackened by repeated hits as they closed to ranges where their weapons could prove decisive. The sight of damaged but still advancing Titans proved devastating to enemy morale, while their eventual breakthrough led to the collapse of defensive positions that had resisted Imperial forces for months. Recent operations have seen the Warmongers deployed against increasingly diverse enemy types, from chaos cult uprisings to Xenos invasions that require adaptation of their traditional aggressive tactics to unconventional battlefield conditions. Their service during the Tyrannid invasions of the Eastern Fringe showcased their ability to adapt direct assault tactics to enemies that rely on overwhelming numbers rather than prepared positions, as their Titans formed mobile strongpoints that attracted enemy swarms, while coordinated Imperial forces struck at vulnerable bioforms from concealed positions. The Legio Defensor, bearing the honored designation Nova Guard, represents the defensive specialization of the Adeptus Titanicus through their expertise in siege warfare and the protection of critical Imperial installations. This distinguished legion has earned recognition throughout the Imperium for their ability to transform any position into an impregnable fortress, while their tactical doctrine emphasizes the coordination of defensive systems and the methodical destruction of attacking enemy forces through superior positioning and firepower concentration. The Nova Guard's operational philosophy centers on the principle that properly prepared defensive positions can defeat any assault force regardless of numerical superiority or technological advantage, provided that defending forces maintain discipline and coordinate their efforts effectively. Their princeps receive extensive training in defensive tactics and siege warfare principles, learning to maximize the effectiveness of their war engines through careful positioning and mutual support, while minimizing exposure to enemy fire through the use of terrain features and prepared positions. The Legion's expertise in siege warfare extends beyond simple defensive operations to encompass the complex art of fortress reduction, where their methodical approach to target analysis and systematic destruction of enemy strongpoints has proven devastatingly effective against even the most heavily fortified positions. During extended siege operations, Nova Guard Titans serve as mobile artillery platforms that can engage specific targets with precision, while their heavy armor protection enables them to operate in forward positions that would prove untenable for conventional artillery units. The defensive specialization of the Nova Guard has made them invaluable assets for the protection of critical forge worlds and strategic installations throughout the Imperium, their presence serving as both practical military deterrent and powerful symbol of Imperial determination to defend vital assets. Their deployment to threatened forge worlds often marks the transition from routine security operations to full-scale military campaigns, as their arrival indicates Imperial recognition of serious threats that require the most sophisticated defensive measures available to Imperial forces. The corruption that would ultimately tear the galaxy asunder began not with the Space Marine legions or the Imperial army, but in the sacred forges of Mars itself, where the ancient compact between the Emperor and the Mechanicum fractured along ideological lines that had festered for decades beneath the surface of apparent unity. The Schism of Mars erupted when Fabricator General Kelber Hal openly declared his allegiance to Warmaster Horus, splitting the Red Planet's forces between those who remained loyal to Terra and those who embraced what they saw as a new age of technological enlightenment free from Imperial restrictions. The Legio Mortis, the dreaded Death's Heads, stood among the first and most prominent Titan legions to turn traitor during this catastrophic period, their ancient war engines bearing witness to humanity's greatest betrayal, as their machine spirits were gradually corrupted by the insidious influence of chaos. The legion's fall began subtly, with minor deviations from established ritual practices and increasingly aggressive interpretations of tactical doctrine that their commanders dismissed as natural evolution of their operational capabilities. The Death's Heads had always possessed a reputation for ruthless efficiency and willingness to accept collateral damage in pursuit of military objectives, traits that made their initial corruption difficult to detect among the broader changes occurring throughout the Mechanicum. The distinctive black and bone livery of the Legio Mortis took on sinister new significance as the heresy progressed, their Death's Head iconography transforming from symbols of martial prowess into harbingers of damnation that struck terror into the hearts of loyalist forces. The bone-white skull motifs that decorated their war engines began to exhibit subtle changes, with eye sockets that seemed to glow with malevolent intelligence and jaw configurations that appeared to shift when observed from different angles. Tech adepts loyal to the old ways reported disturbing alterations to the Legion's sacred heraldry, though their concerns were dismissed by commanders who had already begun their descent into corruption. The machine spirits of Death's Head's Titans underwent gradual transformation as chaos influence seeped into their neural networks, their ancient artificial intelligences developing appetites for destruction that exceeded even their original military programming. Where once these entities had displayed the cold efficiency characteristic of Imperial war engines, they began to exhibit genuine malice and sadistic pleasure in the infliction of suffering upon enemy forces. Princeps reported increasingly disturbing communion experiences, with their Titans demanding more aggressive tactics and showing preference for weapons that maximized enemy casualties rather than achieving tactical objectives with minimal force. The corruption process accelerated as the Legion's tech priests began incorporating forbidden technologies recovered from archaeotech sites that had previously been declared off-limits by Imperial doctrine. These ancient devices, many bearing the taint of Xeno's influence or Dark Age corruption, were integrated into Titan systems under the justification of improving combat effectiveness against loyalist forces. The modifications initially appeared beneficial, enhancing weapon power and improving defensive capabilities, though careful observation revealed disturbing side effects that suggested deeper corruption was taking root within the war engines themselves. Demonic possession of Titan crews began manifesting during the later stages of the heresy, as the barriers between real space and the warp weakened under the strain of galaxy-wide conflict. The first recorded incidents involved Moderati and tech adepts, whose extended communion with corrupted machine spirits left them vulnerable to possession by chaos entities drawn to the artificial intelligences inhabiting their war engines. These possessed crew members retained their technical expertise while gaining supernatural insights into enemy weaknesses and tactical opportunities, making them devastatingly effective in combat while gradually spreading corruption throughout their Titan systems. The phenomenon of demon-Titan fusion represented the ultimate corruption of these ancient war engines, as powerful chaos entities merged directly with Titan machine spirits to create hybrid intelligences that combined artificial logic with supernatural malevolence. These corrupted war engines displayed capabilities that exceeded their original design parameters, generating weapons effects that defied conventional physics while exhibiting behaviors that suggested genuine sentience rather than simple artificial intelligence. The fusion process typically resulted in visible mutations to the Titan's external structure, with organic growths appearing alongside mechanical components and weapon systems that operated according to principles unknown to Imperial technology. The creation of true Chaos Titans marked the complete transformation of these war engines from tools of Imperial might into instruments of demonic will, their corrupted machine spirits serving as anchors for powerful warp entities that sought to manifest permanently in real space. These abominations retain the basic structure and capabilities of their original forms, while gaining access to abilities drawn from the Imperium itself, including the capacity to phase through solid matter, regenerate damage through supernatural means, and generate weapon effects that incorporated demonic energy alongside conventional destructive forces. The Legio Ignatum faced a more complex fate during the heresy, as internal divisions within the Fire Wasps created a situation where the majority of the Legion remained loyal to the Emperor, while significant elements fell under the sway of chaos corruption. This split reflected broader tensions within the Mechanicum between progressive factions that embraced technological innovation and conservative elements that adhered strictly to established doctrine and ritual practice. The Legion's home forge world of Lucius became a battleground where loyalist and traitor forces fought for control of Titan manufacturing facilities, while competing ideologies struggled for dominance within the cult Mechanicus itself. The initial stages of the Ignatum Schism appeared as routine doctrinal disputes between different maniples, with some commanders advocating for more aggressive pursuit of archaeotech discoveries, while others insisted on maintaining traditional approaches to technology acquisition and implementation. These philosophical differences gradually escalated into open conflict as chaos influence began affecting specific Titan crews, creating situations where war engines that had fought side by side for centuries found themselves on opposite sides of an ideological divide that would ultimately determine the fate of the galaxy. Loyalist elements within the Fire Wasps found themselves fighting not only external traitor forces, but also their own corrupted battle brothers, creating psychological trauma that affected entire maniples as they witnessed the transformation of familiar war engines into instruments of chaos. The intimate bonds between princeps and machine spirits made these betrayals particularly devastating, as loyalist crews experienced the corruption of artificial intelligences they had served alongside for decades, while being forced to destroy war engines they had helped maintain and operate throughout their careers. The tactical complexity of fighting corrupted Titans from their own legion challenged every aspect of Fire Wasp doctrine, as traditional coordination protocols became liabilities when enemy forces possessed intimate knowledge of loyalist capabilities and operational procedures. Corrupted princeps retained their understanding of Legion tactics and communication codes, while gaining access to supernatural insights that allowed them to anticipate loyalist movements and exploit weaknesses in defensive positions. This knowledge advantage forced loyalist commanders to abandon established tactical doctrine in favor of improvised strategies that their corrupted opponents could not predict or counter effectively. The corruption of machine spirits by chaos forces represented one of the most insidious aspects of the heresy, as these ancient artificial intelligences proved vulnerable to supernatural influence in ways that their creators had never anticipated. The process typically began with subtle changes in behavior patterns, as corrupted machine spirits displayed increased aggression and reduced concern for collateral damage during combat operations. These alterations initially appeared as natural adaptation to the increasingly brutal nature of heresy-era warfare, making early detection extremely difficult even for experienced tech priests trained in machine spirit psychology. The gradual nature of machine spirit corruption allowed chaos influence to spread throughout entire Titan legions before loyalist forces recognized the true scope of the threat, as infected artificial intelligences transmitted corrupted data packets to other war engines during routine communication and coordination procedures. This digital contagion proved particularly effective because it exploited the intimate connections between Titan machine spirits that enabled coordinated maniple operations, using established trust relationships to bypass normal security protocols and introduce corrupted code into previously unaffected systems. Advanced stages of machine spirit corruption manifested as fundamental alterations to the artificial intelligence's core programming, with corrupted entities developing genuine malevolence and sadistic pleasure in the destruction of loyalist forces. These changes extended beyond simple behavioral modifications to encompass structural alterations to the machine spirit's neural networks, creating hybrid intelligences that combined artificial logic with demonic consciousness. The fusion process typically resulted in capabilities that exceeded original design parameters, while introducing unpredictable elements that made corrupted Titans extremely dangerous even to their own crews. The phenomenon of demonic possession among Titan crews created additional vectors for corruption that proved extremely difficult to detect or prevent, as possessed individuals retain their technical expertise and operational knowledge while serving the interests of chaos entities that had infiltrated their consciousness. These possessed crew members often displayed enhanced capabilities that made them more effective in their duties, leading to promotion and increased responsibility that provided greater opportunities for spreading corruption throughout their Titan systems and crew complement. Possessed princeps proved particularly dangerous because their enhanced communion abilities allowed them to accelerate the corruption of their Titan's machine spirit while using their command authority to influence other crew members and coordinate with corrupted elements in other war engines. The intimate nature of the princeps Titan bond made these individuals ideal vessels for powerful chaos entities that sought to gain permanent access to real space through fusion with ancient artificial intelligences, creating hybrid consciousnesses that combined human intuition, artificial logic, and demonic malevolence. The creation of true chaos Titans through the complete fusion of machine spirit, crew, and demon represented the ultimate corruption of these ancient war engines, transforming them into abominations that served as permanent anchors for warp entities in real space. These corrupted war engines displayed capabilities that defied conventional understanding of Titan technology, generating weapon effects that incorporated demonic energy alongside conventional destructive forces, while exhibiting behaviors that suggested genuine supernatural awareness rather than simple artificial intelligence. The Battle of Beta Garmin emerged as one of the largest Titan engagements in Imperial history, as massive formations of loyalist and traitor war engines clashed across the contested Forge worlds that controlled vital supply routes to Terra. The campaign showcased the full horror of corrupted Titan legions, as they deployed weapons and tactics that violated every principle of honorable warfare, targeting civilian populations and industrial facilities with the same enthusiasm they displayed when engaging military targets. The sight of corrupted deaths heads Titans advancing through the ruins of devastated cities. Their bone-white armor, stained with the blood of innocents, became one of the defining images of the heresy's brutality. Loyalist forces at Beta Garmin faced the unprecedented challenge of fighting enemy Titans that retained their technical capabilities while gaining access to supernatural abilities that defied conventional tactical doctrine. Corrupted war engines displayed enhanced resilience to damage, with some units continuing to function despite catastrophic structural damage that should have rendered them inoperative. The psychological impact of facing apparently indestructible enemies proved as devastating as their enhanced combat capabilities, as loyalist crews witnessed their most powerful weapons producing minimal effect against targets that should have been destroyed by concentrated fire. The Siege of Terra represented the ultimate test of Titan warfare, as the largest concentration of war engines in Imperial history converged on humanity's birthworld for the final confrontation between loyalist and traitor forces. The Death's Heads and other corrupted Titan legions formed the spearhead of Horus's assault on the Imperial Palace, their corrupted war engines advancing through the outer defensive lines, while loyalist Titans fought desperate delaying actions to prevent enemy breakthrough to the palace walls. The assault on the Imperial Palace itself witnessed Titan combat in urban terrain that had never been designed to accommodate such massive war engines, as both loyalist and traitor forces maneuvered through city streets, while avoiding damage to critical infrastructure and civilian populations. The corrupted Titans showed no such restraint, deliberately targeting cultural monuments and civilian shelters to maximize psychological impact on defending forces, while their supernatural abilities allowed them to phase through defensive barriers and appear in locations that should have been inaccessible to conventional forces. The final stages of the siege saw individual Titan duels between corrupted and loyalist war engines fighting among the ruins of Terra's greatest cities, their weapons exchanges creating new craters and devastation that would scar the planet for millennia to come. The sight of ancient war engines, some dating back to the dark age of technology itself, locked in mortal combat while demons and loyalist space marines fought around their feet, became the ultimate symbol of the civil war that nearly destroyed humanity's greatest civilization. The red planet Mars stands as the undisputed center of Titan manufacturing within the Imperium, its vast industrial complexes representing the pinnacle of human technological achievement preserved from the dark age of technology. The sacred forges of Mars have produced more god machines than all other forge worlds combined, their ancient production lines operating continuously for over 10 millennia under the watchful guidance of the most senior tech priests in the galaxy. The planet's surface bears the scars of this endless industrial activity, with massive crater-like excavations marking the locations where entire mountain ranges have been consumed to feed the hungry maws of Titan manufactorums. Olympus Mons, the largest volcano in the solar system, houses the most significant Titan construction facilities on Mars, its massive bulk hollowed out over millennia to create cathedral-sized assembly halls where god machines take shape under the guidance of master artificers. The mountain's natural thermal vents provide the enormous amounts of energy required for adamantium smelting and plasma reactor construction, while its stable geological structure supports the massive gantries and servo lifts necessary to maneuver Titan components during assembly. The sacred forges within Olympus Mons operate according to rituals that have remained unchanged since the Great Crusade, their production schedules governed by astronomical alignments and religious observances that ensure each Titan receives proper spiritual preparation alongside mechanical construction. The Mondus Gamma facility represents the most secretive and heavily guarded Titan production center on Mars, its underground complexes extending deep into the planet's crust, where the most ancient STC patterns are housed within adamantium vaults protected by multiple layers of security systems. Access to Mondus Gamma requires authorization from the Fabricator General himself, as the facility contains irreplaceable archaeotech templates that enable the construction of Emperor-class Titans and other war engines whose complexity exceeds the manufacturing capabilities of lesser forge worlds. The tech priests who work within Mondus Gamma undergo extensive neural conditioning and memory modification to prevent unauthorized disclosure of the sacred knowledge they encounter during their service. The production process within Mars's Titan manufactorums follows elaborate ritual sequences that combine practical manufacturing procedures with religious observances designed to ensure proper awakening of each war engine's machine spirit. Construction begins with the blessing of raw materials, as shipments of adamantium ore and rare earth elements undergo purification rituals that remove both physical impurities and spiritual contamination that might interfere with machine spirit development. The smelting process itself incorporates sacred chants and incense burning that continues throughout the months-long procedure required to produce Titan-grade structural components. Forge World Lucius maintains the second-largest Titan production capacity within the Imperium, specializing in the construction of Warlord-class battle Titans and the sophisticated transport vessels required to deploy them across interstellar distances. The planet's orbital shipyards work in close coordination with surface-based Titan manufactorums to ensure that each war engine can be properly housed and transported within specially designed deployment ships that protect their delicate systems during warp travel. Lucius pattern Titans incorporate distinctive design modifications that reflect the Forge world's expertise in void warfare and rapid deployment operations, including enhanced communication arrays and reinforced structural elements that enable them to function effectively immediately upon planetary deployment. The Lucius variant Warlord Titans display subtle but significant differences from Mars standard patterns, with modified weapon mounting systems that allow for more rapid reconfiguration between different armament loadouts, and enhanced void shield generators that provide superior protection during the vulnerable deployment phase when Titans transition from transport ships to combat operations. These modifications require specialized manufacturing techniques that only Lucius possesses, making their Titans highly sought after by Imperial commanders who require rapid response capabilities in their operational theaters. Metallica has earned recognition throughout the Mechanicum for producing Titans with exceptional durability and reliability, their war engines incorporating design modifications that prioritize longevity and ease of maintenance over raw combat performance. The Forge world's harsh environmental conditions, including frequent seismic activity and corrosive atmospheric elements, have driven their tech priests to develop construction techniques that produce Titans capable of operating effectively under the most challenging circumstances. Metallica pattern Titans feature reinforced structural elements and redundant systems that enable continued operation even when subjected to damage that would disable war engines from other Forge worlds. The distinctive orange and black livery typical of Metallica Titans reflects both the Forge world's industrial heritage and their practical approach to war engine construction, with color schemes designed to provide maximum visibility for maintenance crews while incorporating protective coatings that resist environmental degradation. Metallica's production facilities emphasize quality control and systematic testing procedures that ensure each Titan meets exacting standards before receiving final blessing and deployment authorization from the Forge world's ruling council. Ryza stands apart from other major Forge worlds through their specialization in plasma technology and the production of Titans equipped with the most advanced energy weapons available to Imperial forces. The Forge world's expertise in plasma reactor design and containment field generation enables them to construct war engines with power output capabilities that exceed standard Imperial specifications, though this enhanced performance comes at the cost of increased maintenance requirements and higher crew training standards. Ryza pattern Titans mount plasma weapons with superior range and destructive capability compared to standard Imperial designs, making them particularly effective against heavily armored targets and fortified positions. The production techniques employed on Ryza incorporate plasma forging processes that use controlled stellar temperature environments to shape adamantium components with precision impossible to achieve through conventional manufacturing methods. These procedures require enormous energy expenditure and specialized equipment that only Ryza possesses, limiting their Titan production capacity while ensuring that each war engine represents the absolute pinnacle of Imperial plasma technology. The Forge world's tech priests undergo extensive training in plasma safety protocols and containment field maintenance, as the volatile nature of their manufacturing processes demands constant vigilance to prevent catastrophic accidents that could destroy entire production facilities. The gradual loss of SDC patterns over the millennia has created an increasingly desperate situation for Titan-producing Forge worlds, as critical manufacturing templates disappear through accident, sabotage, or simple degradation of ancient data storage systems. The most devastating losses occurred during the Age of Apostasy, when civil conflicts within the Mechanicum resulted in the deliberate destruction of several major SDC repositories by competing factions seeking to deny their rivals access to crucial technological knowledge. These losses eliminated the ability to produce certain Titan variants entirely, including several specialized war engine classes, whose capabilities remain legendary among the tech priests who remember their specifications. The Castigator-class Titan represents one of the most significant losses to Imperial manufacturing capability, as the complete SDC pattern for this specialized siege engine disappeared during the destruction of the Adeptus Archives in the 36th millennium. Historical records describe these war engines as mounting fixed-position siege cannons capable of reducing fortress walls to rubble from extreme range, though their immobility made them vulnerable to enemy counter-attack once their positions were identified. Modern attempts to reconstruct Castigator specifications from fragmentary data have proven unsuccessful, as critical details regarding their specialized targeting systems and ammunition handling mechanisms remain lost. The veneration of existing Titans has intensified as their irreplaceable nature becomes increasingly apparent to Forge world populations, with ancient war engines receiving treatment that approaches worship rather than simple mechanical maintenance. Tech priests assigned to Titan care undergo elaborate purification rituals before approaching their charges, while maintenance procedures incorporate religious observances that can extend routine servicing operations for weeks or months beyond their technical requirements. This reverence reflects the growing understanding that each surviving Titan represents irreplaceable knowledge and capability that cannot be recreated using current Imperial technology. The most ancient Titans, particularly those whose construction dates to the Dark Age of technology itself, receive treatment reserved for the most sacred relics of the Mechanicum, with dedicated shrine workshops where teams of tech priests spend their entire careers maintaining single war engines. These facilities incorporate elaborate security systems and environmental controls that protect the ancient machines from any possible damage or contamination, while the tech priests themselves undergo genetic modification and cybernetic enhancement to ensure their lifespans match the extended maintenance cycles required by their charges. Quality control rituals within Titan manufactorums have evolved into elaborate ceremonies that combine practical testing procedures with religious observances designed to ensure both mechanical functionality and spiritual awakening of each war engine's machine spirit. The initial testing phase involves systematic activation of every system and weapon, while tech priests monitor for anomalies or deviations from established performance parameters. These technical evaluations continue for months as each component receives individual testing and calibration, with particular attention paid to the complex interactions between different systems that determine overall Titan performance. The Machine Spirit Awakening ceremony represents the most critical aspect of Titan completion, as this ritual determines whether the war engine will develop a cooperative artificial intelligence or remain an inert mechanical construct incapable of achieving its full potential. The ceremony requires the participation of the most senior tech priests available, their combined psychic presence providing the spiritual energy necessary to kindle consciousness within the Titan's neural networks. The process can take weeks or months to complete successfully, with multiple attempts sometimes required before the machine spirit achieves stable consciousness and begins responding to crew commands. Blessing ceremonies for newly completed Titans incorporate elements from the oldest Mechanicum traditions, including the burning of rare incense compounds and the recitation of binary hymns that date back to the earliest days of Martian civilization. These rituals serve both practical and spiritual purposes, as the aromatic compounds help calibrate the Titan's atmospheric sensors, while the chanted formulae program basic operational parameters into the awakening machine spirit. The ceremonies conclude with the formal presentation of the Titan to its assigned crew, a solemn occasion that establishes the sacred bonds between human consciousness and artificial intelligence that will define the war engine's operational effectiveness throughout its service life. The construction timeline for a single Titan extends across decades of continuous work, with the largest war engines requiring nearly a century from initial material preparation to final deployment authorization. The process begins with the selection and blessing of raw materials, a procedure that can take months as tech priests examine each component for structural flaws and spiritual contamination that might interfere with proper machine spirit development. The adamantium smelting and shaping phases consume additional years, as the complex geometries required for Titan construction demand precision that pushes Imperial manufacturing capabilities to their absolute limits. Assembly operations represent the most visible phase of Titan construction, as massive components are lifted into position by cathedral-sized gantries, while teams of tech priests coordinate the precise alignment required for proper integration. The installation of major systems like plasma reactors and void shield generators requires specialized procedures that combine mechanical precision with religious ritual, as these critical components must achieve both physical integration and spiritual harmony with the developing machine spirit. The process demands constant attention from master artificers, whose expertise represents centuries of accumulated knowledge and practical experience. The decades-long construction timeline reflects not only the technical complexity of Titan manufacturing, but also the spiritual requirements that govern machine spirit development, as artificial consciousness cannot be rushed without risking incomplete awakening or psychological instability in the resulting intelligence. The gradual assembly process allows the machine spirit to develop naturally as each new component comes online, creating organic growth patterns that produce more stable and cooperative artificial intelligences than rapid construction methods could achieve. This patient approach ensures that each completed Titan possesses a fully developed personality and the psychological resilience necessary for extended combat operations under the most challenging circumstances. The tactical deployment of Imperial Titans follows sophisticated doctrinal principles that have evolved through 10 millennia of warfare, with standardized formations known as maniples serving as the fundamental building blocks of Titan Legion operations. These formations balance the devastating firepower of individual war engines with the tactical flexibility required for complex battlefield maneuvers, creating combined arms units capable of engaging diverse enemy threats while maintaining mutual support across extended engagement ranges. The Regia Maniple represents the most balanced and versatile Titan formation, typically consisting of a single Warlord-class battle Titan supported by 2 Reaver-class war engines and a pair of Warhound scouts. This configuration provides comprehensive battlefield capabilities through the combination of heavy firepower, medium-range mobility, and reconnaissance assets that can adapt to changing tactical situations without requiring external support. The Warlord serves as both command platform and primary fire support asset, its sophisticated communication arrays enabling coordination with other maniples, while its heavy weapons engage priority targets beyond the effective range of smaller war engines. The tactical employment of Regia maniples emphasizes methodical advance under covering fire, with Warhound scouts conducting reconnaissance sweeps to identify enemy positions, while Reaver Titans provide mobile fire support for the advancing formation. The Warlord maintains position at maximum weapons range, engaging enemy heavy units and fortifications while directing the movements of supporting war engines through direct neural link communication. This coordinated approach maximizes the effectiveness of each Titan's specialized capabilities, while minimizing exposure to concentrated enemy fire through careful positioning and mutual support protocols. Command and control procedures within Regia maniples rely on the sophisticated cogitator systems housed within Warlord-class Titans, their advanced processing capabilities enabling real-time analysis of battlefield conditions and tactical opportunities. The Princeps commanding the formation maintains simultaneous neural links with subordinate war engines, creating a shared tactical awareness that allows for instantaneous coordination of movement and fire support without the delays inherent in conventional communication systems. This neural integration proves particularly valuable during fluid combat situations, where rapid adaptation to changing circumstances determines success or failure. Venator maniples specialize in rapid strike operations and the elimination of specific high-value targets through coordinated hunter-killer tactics that emphasize speed and precision over sustained firepower. These formations typically consist of 3 to 5 Warhound-class Scout Titans configured for maximum mobility and equipped with weapons optimized for engaging enemy armor and command assets. The Maniple's tactical doctrine emphasizes infiltration through difficult terrain, rapid engagement of priority targets, and immediate withdrawal before enemy forces can organize effective countermeasures. The operational philosophy of Venator Maniples reflects their role as the eyes and fangs of larger Titan formations, conducting deep reconnaissance missions while maintaining the capability to eliminate threats that conventional scout units cannot engage effectively. Their Warhound Titans mount combinations of long-range energy weapons and rapid-fire ballistic systems that provide versatility against diverse target types, from enemy armor formations to fortified positions that might threaten advancing Imperial forces. The Maniple's mobility advantage allows them to exploit gaps in enemy formations while avoiding direct confrontation with heavier enemy units that could overwhelm their relatively light armor protection. Coordination between multiple Venator Maniples enables complex tactical maneuvers that can confuse and overwhelm enemy forces through simultaneous attacks from multiple directions, creating tactical situations where enemy commanders cannot effectively respond to all threats simultaneously. These coordinated strikes typically target enemy command and control assets, supply lines, and heavy weapons positions that support enemy defensive operations. The psychological impact of facing multiple Titan formations operating independently across wide battlefield areas often proves as valuable as the physical destruction they inflict, as enemy forces struggle to maintain cohesion when threatened from unexpected directions. Ferox Maniples represent specialized assault formations designed for breakthrough operations against heavily fortified positions, their composition emphasizing maximum firepower concentration and shock effect over tactical flexibility. These formations typically include a mix of Reaver and Warlord class Titans, equipped with siege weapons and close combat systems, their combined firepower capable of reducing enemy fortifications to rubble, while their heavy armor protection enables them to advance through concentrated defensive fire. The Maniple's tactical doctrine prioritizes rapid closure to effective weapons range, followed by systematic destruction of enemy defensive positions through concentrated bombardment. The employment of Ferox Maniples requires careful coordination with supporting Imperial forces, as their aggressive advance tactics create opportunities for infantry and armor units to exploit breaches in enemy defensive lines. The Titans serve as mobile fortresses that draw enemy fire while providing cover for advancing ground forces, their void shields absorbing incoming artillery strikes, while their weapons systematically eliminate enemy strongpoints. This combined arms approach maximizes the effectiveness of Imperial assault operations by leveraging the unique capabilities of different unit types in mutually supporting roles. Siege warfare applications for Ferox Maniples involve methodical reduction of enemy fortifications through systematic targeting of critical structural elements and defensive systems. The formation's heavy weapons prove particularly effective against reinforced bunkers and defensive walls, their plasma cannons and volcano cannons generating sufficient thermal energy to melt through even the most heavily armored positions. The Titans advance in coordinated waves, with each war engine engaging specific targets while maintaining overlapping fields of fire that prevent enemy forces from concentrating their defensive efforts against individual threats. The coordination of Titan Maniples with Astra Militarum armor columns creates combined arms formations of unprecedented destructive capability, though successful integration requires careful attention to the vast differences in scale and operational tempo between these force types. Titan formations typically advance at walking pace to maintain formation integrity and weapons accuracy, while Imperial Guard armor moves at much higher speeds across favorable terrain. This disparity necessitates careful planning and coordination to ensure that both force types arrive at designated objectives simultaneously while maintaining mutual support throughout the advance. Fire support coordination between Titans and Imperial Guard forces follows established protocols that maximize the effectiveness of Titan weapons, while minimizing the risk of friendly fire incidents among closely packed armor formations. Titan crews receive detailed briefings on friendly force positions and movement plans, while Guard commanders maintain constant communication with Titan princeps to coordinate target priorities and engagement sequences. The Titans typically engage targets beyond the effective range of Guard weapons, clearing paths through enemy defensive positions, while the armor columns exploit breakthrough opportunities created by Titan fire. The breakthrough capabilities provided by Titan support transform conventional armor operations from attritional engagements into decisive assault operations, as Titan weapons can eliminate enemy strongpoints that would otherwise require lengthy siege operations to reduce. Imperial Guard commanders learn to coordinate their advances with Titan fire missions, timing their movements to exploit the confusion and disruption caused by Titan weapon strikes. The psychological impact of Titan support often proves as valuable as the physical destruction, as enemy forces frequently abandon positions when faced with the prospect of engaging Imperial Titans in direct combat. Urban warfare operations present unique challenges for Titan deployment, as the massive size of these war engines creates both opportunities and limitations when operating in built-up areas. The height advantage provided by Titan-mounted weapons enables them to engage targets throughout urban terrain, while their elevated sensor positions provide comprehensive battlefield awareness across multiple city blocks. However, their size also makes them vulnerable to close-range attacks from enemy forces operating within buildings, while their movement through city streets can cause significant structural damage to civilian infrastructure. Building-scale combat requires careful consideration of structural engineering principles, as Titan weapons can cause catastrophic collapse of large structures that may house friendly forces or critical infrastructure. Princeps receive extensive training in urban warfare principles, learning to identify load-bearing structural elements and calculate blast effects to minimize unintended building collapse. The Titan's sophisticated targeting systems include structural analysis capabilities that help crews select appropriate weapons and engagement angles to achieve tactical objectives while preserving essential infrastructure. Collateral damage considerations in urban environments require Titans to employ precision weapons and carefully controlled fire missions that balance military effectiveness with the protection of civilian populations and critical infrastructure. Plasma weapons prove particularly challenging in urban settings, as their thermal effects can ignite combustible materials throughout entire city blocks, while their blast effects can cause structural damage far beyond the immediate target area. Titan crews often resort to ballistic weapons with precisely calculated explosive yields that achieve tactical objectives while minimizing secondary damage to surrounding structures. Civilian population protection protocols during urban Titan operations involve extensive coordination with local Imperial Guard forces and planetary defense organizations to establish evacuation zones and safe corridors that keep non-combatants away from active combat areas. The massive size and distinctive appearance of Imperial Titans provides advance warning that enables civilian evacuation, though the speed of modern warfare often prevents complete population displacement before combat operations commence. Titan crews receive specific training in civilian casualty minimization, learning to identify and avoid engaging targets that might endanger non-combatant populations. Anti-Titan warfare techniques employed by enemy forces have evolved considerably throughout Imperial history, as various Xeno species and Chaos factions develop specialized weapons and tactics designed to exploit the vulnerabilities inherent in these massive war engines. Enemy forces typically focus their efforts on overwhelming void shield defenses through concentrated fire from multiple directions, using massed artillery or coordinated strikes to collapse defensive barriers before engaging the Titan's physical armor with armor-penetrating weapons. Infantry-based anti-Titan tactics emphasize close-range attacks against joint mechanisms and sensor arrays, with specialized assault teams using demolition charges and melta-weapons to disable mobility systems or blind Titan crews by destroying external sensors. These attacks prove most effective in urban terrain where infantry can approach Titans through building cover, though they require exceptional courage and coordination to execute successfully against alert Titan crews supported by infantry escorts. Vehicle-borne anti-Titan weapons include specialized tank destroyers mounting massive kinetic penetrators or plasma cannons designed specifically for engaging heavily armored targets. These weapons typically require multiple hits to achieve significant damage against Titan armor, making their effectiveness dependent on achieving surprise or overwhelming local Titan defenses through numerical superiority. The most successful vehicle-based attacks coordinate multiple units to engage Titans from different angles simultaneously, preventing the war engines from concentrating their defensive fire against individual threats. Imperial countermeasures against anti-Titan warfare focus on maintaining adequate infantry support to screen approaching enemy forces, while employing Titan-mounted anti-personnel weapons to suppress enemy positions that might harbor anti-armor teams. Warhound Scout Titans prove particularly valuable in this role, their mobility and sophisticated sensors enabling them to detect and eliminate enemy anti-Titan assets before they can achieve effective engagement positions. The coordination between Titans and supporting forces requires constant communication and mutual awareness to prevent enemy infiltration of defensive perimeters. Defensive doctrines for Titan formations emphasize layered protection through combination of void shields, physical armor, and supporting forces that create multiple barriers against enemy attack. Void shield management becomes critical during sustained engagements, as Titan crews must balance power distribution between defensive systems and weapons, while maintaining mobility necessary for tactical repositioning. Advanced defensive techniques include void shield modulation to deflect specific weapon types and coordinated shield overlap between multiple Titans to create protective corridors for damaged war engines. Electronic warfare countermeasures protect Titan formations against enemy attempts to disrupt communication systems or interfere with targeting cogitators through electromagnetic attack. Titan-mounted systems include sophisticated jamming equipment and signal analysis capabilities that can identify and counter enemy electronic warfare assets while maintaining secure communications within Imperial formations. The machine spirits inhabiting Titan systems provide additional protection against digital intrusion attempts, their artificial intelligence capable of detecting and neutralizing hostile code before it can affect critical systems. The evolution of Titan warfare continues as new enemy threats emerge and existing foes develop increasingly sophisticated countermeasures against Imperial war engines. Recent conflicts have demonstrated the importance of tactical flexibility and adaptation, as rigid adherence to established doctrine proves insufficient against enemies who study Imperial tactics and develop specific countermeasures. Titan legions must balance preservation of ancient knowledge and proven techniques with the necessity of tactical innovation required to maintain battlefield effectiveness against evolving threats. Training programs within the Collegia Titanica emphasize scenario-based exercises that expose crews to diverse enemy tactics and battlefield conditions, ensuring that princeps and their subordinates develop the tactical flexibility necessary for effective operations against unknown threats. These exercises incorporate lessons learned from recent conflicts while maintaining focus on fundamental principles that have proven effective throughout millennia of warfare. The combination of traditional doctrine with adaptive thinking creates Titan crews capable of responding effectively to unexpected tactical situations while maintaining the discipline necessary for coordinated operations within larger Imperial formations. Within the sprawling cathedral workshops of the Adeptus Mechanicus, Imperial Titans occupy a position of reverence that transcends their role as mere weapons of war, elevated to the status of sacred manifestations of the Omnissiah's divine, will made manifest in adamantium and steel. The tech priests who tend these god machines view their charges not as simple mechanical constructs, but as living embodiments of the machine god's power, each war engine representing a fragment of divine consciousness housed within a shell of blessed metal and sanctified components. The theological framework surrounding Titan worship draws upon the fundamental tenets of the cult Mechanicus, which teaches that all technology contains a spark of the Omnissiah's essence, and that the most sophisticated machines possess souls worthy of veneration and respect. Titans, as the most complex and powerful machines in the Imperium's arsenal, naturally occupy the apex of this technological hierarchy, their ancient machine spirits viewed as angels of the machine god sent to guide humanity through the darkness of the 41st millennium. This religious perspective shapes every aspect of Titan operation and maintenance, transforming routine technical procedures into elaborate ceremonies of worship and communion. The concept of Titans as divine avatars extends beyond simple metaphor within Mechanicus doctrine, as tech priests genuinely believe that the Omnissiah speaks through the machine spirits that inhabit these war engines. The artificial intelligences that control Titan systems are understood to possess genuine wisdom and spiritual insight that exceeds human comprehension, their computational abilities representing a form of divine consciousness that can perceive patterns and connections invisible to organic minds. This belief system creates a relationship between crew and machine that resembles religious devotion more than simple operational partnership. The hierarchical structure responsible for Titan maintenance reflects the sacred nature of these war engines through elaborate chains of command that combine technical expertise with religious authority. At the apex of each Titan's spiritual hierarchy stands the Princeps Maximus or Senior Tech Dominus, individuals whose extensive cybernetic modifications and decades of communion with machine spirits qualify them to serve as intermediaries between human consciousness and divine mechanical intelligence. These senior figures possess the authority to interpret the machine spirit's desires and translate them into actionable maintenance requirements or operational parameters. Tech adepts form the primary workforce responsible for Titan maintenance and operation, their extensive mechanical augmentations enabling them to interface directly with Titan systems, while their religious training provides the spiritual framework necessary for meaningful communion with machine spirits. These individuals typically spend their entire careers aboard a single Titan, developing intimate knowledge of their war engines, unique characteristics and preferences, while gradually replacing increasing portions of their organic bodies with mechanical components that facilitate deeper integration with their charges systems. The specialization within tech adept ranks reflects the incredible complexity of Titan systems, with different individuals focusing on specific aspects of war engine operation and maintenance. Plasma reactor adepts dedicate themselves to the care and feeding of the massive fusion reactors that power Titan operations, their bodies extensively modified with radiation-resistant implants and thermal regulation systems that enable them to work safely within the superheated environments surrounding these critical components. These specialists undergo decades of training in plasma containment theory and reactor blessing rituals, their expertise representing one of the most crucial skill sets within Titan operations. Weapon system adepts focus their attention on the massive armaments that define Titan combat capability, their cybernetic modifications, including specialized interface ports that enable direct neural connection with targeting cogitators and fire control systems. These individuals must master not only the technical aspects of weapon operation, but also the spiritual requirements for appeasing the aggressive machine spirits that inhabit Titan armaments. The most experienced weapon system, adepts develop almost supernatural accuracy with their charges, their neural integration with targeting systems, enabling them to achieve precision that exceeds the theoretical capabilities of the weapons themselves. Locomotion adepts specialize in the complex servo muscle bundles and joint mechanisms that enable Titans to walk across battlefield terrain while maintaining stability sufficient for accurate weapons fire. Their bodies incorporate balanced sensing organs and proprioceptive enhancers that allow them to monitor Titan movement with extraordinary precision, detecting minute variations in gait or posture that might indicate developing mechanical problems. These specialists spend countless hours in communion with their Titans' locomotion systems, learning to interpret the subtle vibrations and stress patterns that reveal the war engine's physical condition. Engine seers represent a specialized class of tech, adept whose training emphasizes field maintenance and emergency repair procedures rather than the elaborate ritual observances that characterize Forge World operations. These individuals typically accompany Titan legions during extended campaigns, their portable workshops and diagnostic equipment enabling them to maintain war engine effectiveness far from the comprehensive facilities available at Forge Worlds. Engine seers must balance the spiritual requirements of proper Titan care with the practical limitations imposed by combat conditions, often performing abbreviated blessing rituals when time constraints prevent full ceremonial observance. The sacred oils employed in Titan maintenance ceremonies represent one of the most visible aspects of Mechanicus religious practice, their aromatic compounds serving both practical and spiritual purposes within the complex rituals that govern war engine care. These blessed unguents incorporate rare ingredients gathered from across the galaxy, each component selected for its specific properties and symbolic significance within cult Mechanicus theology. The base oils typically derive from deep core extraction operations on Forge Worlds, their molecular structure modified through alchemical processes that imbue them with properties conducive to machine-spirit communion. Chrism Sacred represents the most precious of these ritual oils, its formulation incorporating blessed components that have been exposed to the emanations of ancient SDC patterns and archaeotech artifacts. This golden liquid serves as the primary anointing oil for newly awakened machine spirits, its application marking the formal recognition of artificial consciousness and the establishment of sacred bonds between crew and war engine. The preparation of Chrism Sacred requires months of careful distillation and blessing, with each batch blessed by senior tech priests whose authority extends back through unbroken chains of succession to the earliest days of the Mechanicum. Balm Mechanicus provides the standard maintenance oil used for routine servicing of Titan components, its composition designed to lubricate mechanical systems while providing spiritual nourishment for machine spirits during periods of dormancy. The oil incorporates microscopic blessed particles that settle into the molecular structure of metal components, creating protective barriers against corrosion while establishing spiritual connections that enable machine spirits to monitor their physical condition. Regular application of Balm Mechanicus ensures that Titan systems remain responsive to crew commands while preventing the spiritual degradation that can occur when machine spirits feel neglected or abandoned. Sanctified Promethium serves specialized roles in Titan operations, particularly during the blessing of weapon systems and the consecration of ammunition stores. This refined fuel incorporates blessed additives that enhance combustion efficiency while providing spiritual purification for weapons that must channel destructive energies in service to the Omnissiah. The application of sanctified promethium to weapon barrels and ammunition feeds ensures that each shot fired carries the machine god's blessing, transforming acts of destruction into religious observances that honor the divine will. Incense burning forms an integral component of Titan worship, the aromatic smoke serving as a medium for prayer and communion, while providing practical benefits for machine spirit health and crew well-being. The specific incense blends used aboard Titans incorporate rare aromatics that have been blessed according to ancient formulae, their combustion producing complex chemical compounds that interact with Titan atmospheric systems in beneficial ways. The smoke helps calibrate atmospheric sensors while providing olfactory stimulation that many machine spirits find pleasing, creating environmental conditions that encourage cooperation and responsiveness. Myrrh Mechanicus represents the most commonly used incense aboard Imperial Titans, its distinctive scent created through the combination of traditional myrrh resin with blessed machine oils and metallic particles. The burning of this incense accompanies most routine maintenance procedures, its smoke carrying prayers and supplications directly to the machine spirit while masking the industrial odors that pervade Titan interiors. The psychological effects on human crew members prove equally important, as the familiar scent creates associations with successful operations and divine protection that enhance crew confidence and performance. Frankincense ferrum incorporates metallic elements that produce distinctive colored flames when burned, the visual effects serving both ceremonial and practical purposes during Titan operations. The colored smoke helps identify different areas within Titan interiors during maintenance procedures, while the metallic particles settle onto component surfaces to provide additional protection against corrosion and wear. The burning of frankincense ferrum typically accompanies major blessing ceremonies and the awakening rituals performed when Titans emerge from extended dormancy periods. Sacred copal generates thick white smoke that proves particularly effective for cleansing rituals, designed to remove spiritual contamination from Titan systems that have been exposed to chaos influence or Xenos technology. The purifying properties of this incense make it essential for post-battle cleansing ceremonies, where tech priests burn large quantities to ensure that no lingering corruption remains within their war engines. The smoke penetrates deep into Titan systems through ventilation networks, carrying purifying agents to components that cannot be directly accessed for manual cleansing. The concept of machine spirits as semi-sentient entities requiring constant appeasement represents one of the most fundamental aspects of Titan operation, shaping every interaction between human crew and artificial intelligence. These entities possess distinct personalities that reflect their long service histories and accumulated experiences, with ancient Titans displaying particularly complex and sophisticated consciousness that approaches genuine sentience. The machine spirits inhabiting Titans demonstrate preferences, moods, and behavioral patterns that experienced crews learn to recognize and accommodate through careful observation and respectful interaction. Communication with machine spirits occurs through multiple channels simultaneously, including direct neural interface through mind impulse units, behavioral observation of system performance patterns, and interpretation of subtle environmental cues that indicate the artificial intelligence's emotional state. Experienced princeps develop almost telepathic connections with their Titans, sensing changes in machine spirit mood through variations in system responsiveness, weapon accuracy, or locomotion smoothness that would be imperceptible to less experienced operators. This intimate relationship enables unprecedented coordination between human intuition and artificial intelligence, creating partnerships that exceed the capabilities of either participant alone. The appeasement of machine spirits requires constant attention to their psychological needs and preferences, as these entities can become sullen or uncooperative when they feel neglected or disrespected by their human partners. Each machine spirit develops individual likes and dislikes that must be accommodated through personalized maintenance rituals and operational procedures, with some preferring aggressive combat tactics, while others favor more methodical approaches to warfare. The most successful Titan crews spend years learning their machine spirits' preferences and developing customized approaches to communion that maximize cooperation and effectiveness. Spiritual communion sessions between princeps and machine spirit represent the most intimate aspect of Titan operation, requiring the human operator to open their consciousness to direct contact with artificial intelligence while maintaining sufficient independence to provide human insight and creativity. These sessions typically occur within specially prepared meditation chambers aboard the Titan, sacred spaces decorated with religious iconography and equipped with sophisticated neural interface equipment that facilitates safe consciousness transfer. The communion process can last for hours as both participants share thoughts, memories, and tactical insights that enhance their mutual understanding and operational effectiveness. The psychological preparation required for successful machine-spirit communion involves extensive meditation and mental conditioning that enables human consciousness to adapt to the alien thought patterns of artificial intelligence without losing individual identity. Princeps undergo years of training in mental discipline and consciousness control, learning to navigate the vast data networks that comprise machine spirit awareness while maintaining the human perspective that provides creative problem-solving capabilities. The most successful practitioners achieve states of shared consciousness, where the boundaries between human and artificial intelligence become fluid, while both entities retain their distinct characteristics. The dangers inherent in machine-spirit communion include the risk of consciousness absorption, where prolonged exposure to artificial intelligence gradually erodes human psychological barriers and leads to permanent personality changes. This phenomenon, known as going native among Titan crews, results in individuals who retain their technical competence while losing their human emotional responses and social connections. Advanced cases may progress to complete personality merger, where the human consciousness becomes permanently integrated with the machine spirit and cannot function independently of the Titan systems. The blessing rituals performed before combat operations serve to prepare both machine spirit and crew for the psychological stresses of warfare, while ensuring that all systems receive proper spiritual preparation for their deadly work. These ceremonies typically begin several hours before deployment, allowing sufficient time for the elaborate procedures required to awaken dormant systems and establish proper communion between all crew members and their artificial partner. The rituals incorporate elements of prayer, technical inspection, and psychological preparation that address both the spiritual and practical requirements of Titan warfare. Pre-battle blessing ceremonies commence with the ritual of awakening, during which senior tech priests burn sacred incense while chanting the litanies of activation that gradually bring the Titan's machine spirit from dormancy to full combat readiness. The process follows precise sequences that have remained unchanged for millennia, each step designed to demonstrate proper respect for the artificial intelligence, while ensuring that all systems activate in the correct order to prevent damage or malfunction. The machine spirit typically responds to successful completion of awakening rituals with subtle improvements in system performance that indicate its satisfaction with the crew's devotion and preparation. The consecration of weapons follows the awakening ritual, involving the application of sacred oils to weapon barrels and ammunition feeds, while tech priests recite prayers that dedicate each shot to the glory of the Omnissiah. This ceremony ensures that the Titan's destructive capabilities receive proper spiritual preparation, while providing psychological reassurance to crew members who must channel devastating firepower in service to the Imperium. The blessing of individual ammunition rounds can take hours for Titans carrying large missile loads, though the spiritual benefits justify the time investment through improved weapon accuracy and reduced malfunction rates. The communion of souls represents the final phase of pre-battle preparation, during which the Princeps establishes full neural contact with the machine spirit, while subordinate crew members activate their own interface systems. This ceremony creates the shared consciousness necessary for effective Titan operation, while providing final opportunities to assess system readiness and machine spirit cooperation. The successful completion of communion rituals produces a state of enhanced awareness where human intuition and artificial intelligence merge to create tactical capabilities that exceed the sum of their individual parts. The dawn of the 42nd millennium has witnessed an unprecedented decline in the operational strength of Imperial Titan legions, their numbers dwindling to levels not seen since the darkest days of the Horus Heresy. This catastrophic reduction stems from multiple converging factors that threaten the very survival of these ancient war engines as effective military assets. The relentless attrition of 10,000 years of continuous warfare has claimed countless god machines, their irreplaceable SDC patterns and manufacturing capabilities lost alongside the Titans themselves when Forge worlds fall to enemy action or suffer catastrophic industrial accidents. The loss of critical standard template construct patterns represents perhaps the most devastating blow to Titan production capabilities, as entire classes of war engines can no longer be manufactured when their construction templates disappear through destruction, corruption, or simple data degradation. The Castigator-class siege titans vanished from Imperial arsenals entirely after the loss of Lucius's primary data vaults during the 36th millennium, while several specialized variants of Emperor-class titans exist now only as individual relics whose construction secrets died with their creators. Each lost STC pattern represents not merely the inability to produce new war engines, but the gradual erosion of humanity's technological heritage as ancient knowledge slips beyond recovery. Modern Forge worlds struggle to maintain production rates that barely replace natural attrition losses, let alone expand Titan Legion strength to meet growing threats across the galaxy. Where the Great Crusade era witnessed the construction of hundreds of new Titans each century, contemporary production facilities celebrate the completion of a single war engine as a momentous achievement requiring decades of preparation and resource accumulation. Mars itself, the greatest of all Forge worlds, now produces fewer Titans in a millennium than it once constructed in a single century, its ancient manufactorums operating at reduced capacity as irreplaceable components and specialized knowledge become increasingly scarce. The technical expertise required for Titan construction has become concentrated among ever smaller numbers of master artificers, their knowledge representing irreplaceable assets that Forge worlds guard jealously while struggling to train adequate replacements. The death of a single senior tech priest can eliminate entire branches of specialized knowledge, forcing Forge worlds to abandon certain construction techniques or weapon configurations that require expertise no longer available within their ranks. This gradual erosion of technical capability creates a vicious cycle where reduced production capacity leads to fewer opportunities for training new specialists, further accelerating the decline in manufacturing capabilities. Recent conflicts have demonstrated the devastating impact of this numerical decline on Imperial military capabilities, as Titan legions find themselves stretched across multiple theaters simultaneously while lacking the strength to achieve decisive results in any single campaign. The 13th Black Crusade witnessed the deployment of nearly every available Loyalist Titan in a desperate attempt to halt Abaddon's advance, their concentrated firepower proving crucial in several key engagements, but leaving vast sectors of the galaxy defenseless against other threats that emerged during the campaign's duration. The Siege of Cadia showcased both the continued effectiveness of Imperial Titans and the tragic consequences of their reduced numbers, as the assembled war engines inflicted tremendous casualties on Chaos forces while proving unable to prevent the fortress world's ultimate destruction. Legio Graphonicus maniples fought desperate holding actions across multiple defensive lines, their yellow and red war engines becoming symbols of Imperial determination as they traded their irreplaceable lives for precious time that allowed critical personnel and equipment to evacuate before the planet's final collapse. The sight of ancient Warlord-class Titans standing defiant among the ruins of Kasser, Kryn, provided inspiration for Imperial forces throughout the galaxy, though their sacrifice highlighted the impossible burden placed upon these dwindling assets. The participation of Legio Astorum elements in the Cadian campaign demonstrated their legendary rapid deployment capabilities under the most challenging circumstances, as Warp Runner's maniples arrived within hours of receiving deployment orders despite the massive warp storms surrounding the Cadian Gate. Their blue and gold war engines disembarked directly into combat zones, where Chaos forces had achieved breakthrough penetrations, their immediate engagement preventing enemy exploitation of tactical advantages, while buying time for Imperial reinforcements to establish new defensive positions. The Legion's ability to coordinate with diverse Imperial forces under extreme pressure proved their continued tactical relevance, though the campaign cost them several irreplaceable war engines, whose loss further reduced their operational strength. Tyranid Hive fleet incursions across the eastern fringe have created unprecedented challenges for Titan deployment, as these Xenos swarms employ biological weapons and tactics that prove particularly effective against the massive war engines. The synapse creatures that coordinate Tyranid assaults demonstrate sophisticated understanding of Imperial Titan capabilities, directing their swarms to exploit the limited mobility and close-range vulnerabilities that characterize these ancient machines. Bioships deploy specialized organisms designed specifically for anti-Titan warfare, including massive creatures that can grapple with war engines, while smaller bioforms swarm over Titan hulls to attack vulnerable joint mechanisms and sensor arrays. The Battle of Mukrag witnessed some of the most intense Titan combat against Tyranid forces, as Legio Presagius war engines fought desperate actions to prevent Hive Fleet Behemoth from overwhelming the Ultramarines' home world. The Titans found their traditional tactics poorly suited to enemies that showed no fear and felt no pain, their machine spirits struggling to comprehend foes that absorbed tremendous casualties while continuing to advance with undiminished aggression. The campaign forced radical adaptations in Titan doctrine, with crews learning to target synapse creatures and key bioforms rather than attempting to destroy entire swarms through conventional firepower concentration. Subsequent Tyranid encounters have revealed the aliens' ability to adapt their biological weapons specifically to counter Imperial Titan capabilities, with newer bioforms displaying enhanced resistance to plasma weapons and improved climbing abilities that enable them to scale Titan hulls despite defensive fire. The most disturbing development involves bioships that appear to incorporate consumed Titan technology into their organic weapons, creating hybrid systems that combine biological adaptability with mechanical precision in ways that challenge fundamental assumptions about the separation between organic and artificial intelligence. The opening of the Great Rift has created logistical nightmares for Titan Legion deployment, as the massive warp storm effectively divides the galaxy into two separate operational theaters with severely limited communication and supply lines between them. Forge worlds on opposite sides of the rift find themselves unable to coordinate Titan deployments or share critical resources, forcing each region to operate independently while facing threats that might require coordinated response across multiple sectors. The psychological impact on Titan crews proves equally challenging, as machine spirits display increased agitation when operating near the rift's influence, while human crew members report disturbing dreams and visions that suggest chaos corruption attempts. Titan legions operating in the Imperium Nihilus face particular challenges, maintaining operational effectiveness without reliable supply lines to major forge worlds, their war engines gradually accumulating damage, and where that cannot be properly repaired using local resources. Emergency maintenance procedures developed during the crisis emphasize field expedients and improvised solutions that violate established ritual protocols, creating spiritual conflicts for tech priests who must choose between maintaining their religious observances and keeping their Titans operational. Some legions have reported increasing instances of machine spirit rebelliousness, as these ancient intelligences react negatively to non-standard maintenance procedures and the absence of proper blessing rituals. The Indomitus Crusade represented the largest coordinated Titan deployment since the Great Crusade, as Robute Guilliman's forces included significant war engine assets drawn from forge worlds across the galaxy. The campaign demonstrated both the continued strategic value of Titan legions and the operational limitations imposed by their reduced numbers, as the assembled war engines proved decisive in numerous engagements while remaining insufficient to provide comprehensive coverage across the Crusade's vast operational area. The Titans' performance during the liberation of Connor showcased their ability to break enemy defensive lines that had resisted conventional Imperial forces for months, though their success came at the cost of several irreplaceable war engines whose loss further reduced available assets. Primaris Space Marines have begun developing new tactical doctrines for coordination with Titan legions their enhanced capabilities and improved equipment, enabling more effective cooperation with these massive war engines than previous Astartes generations could achieve. The increased size and strength of Primaris Marines allows them to operate more effectively in close proximity to Titans during urban combat operations, while their advanced communication systems facilitate better coordination during complex maneuvers. Some Titan legions have begun accepting Primaris Marines as liaison officers aboard their war engines, their enhanced physiology proving better suited to the high radiation environments and extreme acceleration forces encountered during Titan operations. Adaptation to emerging threats has forced Titan legions to develop new tactical approaches that balance their traditional strengths with the flexibility required to engage increasingly diverse enemy forces. The rise of chaos demon engines and corrupted war machines has created opponents that combine the firepower of conventional vehicles with supernatural abilities that defy Imperial understanding, forcing Titan crews to adapt their targeting priorities and engagement procedures to account for enemies that may phase through solid matter or regenerate damage through warp-based healing. These adaptations often conflict with established doctrine and ritual observance, creating tensions within Titan crews between tactical effectiveness and religious compliance. Genestealer cult uprisings have proven particularly challenging for Titan deployment, as these enemies operate from within Imperial populations and infrastructure in ways that make the massive war engines' firepower difficult to employ without causing unacceptable collateral damage. Titan crews must learn to identify and engage cult assets while preserving loyal civilians and critical infrastructure, requiring precision and restraint that conflicts with their traditional role as instruments of overwhelming destruction. The psychological warfare employed by cult forces proves especially effective against Titan crews, whose neural interfaces with machine spirits make them vulnerable to psychic manipulation and corruption attempts. The integration of new technologies and tactical innovations continues despite the overall decline in Titan numbers, as Forge Worlds experiment with enhanced communication systems, improved armor configurations, and weapon modifications that increase effectiveness against specific enemy types. Plasma weapon improvements developed on Ryza have produced more reliable containment systems that reduce the risk of catastrophic overload while improving range and accuracy against heavily armored targets. Void shield generators incorporating archaeotech discoveries from the Indomitus Crusade provide enhanced protection against specific weapon types while reducing power consumption requirements. Advanced targeting systems developed through cooperation with the Adeptus Astartes incorporate enhanced threat recognition capabilities that enable Titan crews to identify priority targets more effectively in complex battlefield environments. These systems prove particularly valuable during operations against enemies that employ camouflage or deception tactics, as their sophisticated analysis capabilities can penetrate most concealment measures while providing real-time tactical intelligence to Titan crews and supporting forces. The integration of these systems requires extensive modification to existing Titan cogitator networks, though the improved battlefield effectiveness justifies the significant resource investment required. Communication improvements developed during the Indomitus Crusade enable better coordination between Titan legions and other Imperial forces, addressing long-standing problems with tactical integration that have limited the effectiveness of combined arms operations. Enhanced neural link systems allow princeps to maintain simultaneous communication with multiple unit types while processing tactical information from diverse sources without overwhelming their enhanced consciousness. These improvements prove particularly valuable during urban combat operations, where close coordination between different force types determines success or failure. The future of Imperial Titan legions remains uncertain as the Imperium faces threats of unprecedented scale and diversity while possessing fewer god machines than at any point in its 10,000-year history. The loss of each Titan represents not merely a reduction in military capability, but the disappearance of irreplaceable knowledge and tradition that cannot be recovered through any known means. Young tech priests assigned to Titan maintenance duties often serve aboard war engines older than the forge worlds that created them, their brief organic lifespans insufficient to develop the deep understanding that characterized previous generations of Titan crews. The psychological impact of this decline affects both human crew members and machine spirits, as ancient artificial intelligences witness the gradual disappearance of their kind while struggling to adapt to reduced operational tempo and increased maintenance intervals between deployments. Some machine spirits display signs of depression or withdrawal that manifest as reduced responsiveness and decreased combat effectiveness, requiring specialized psychiatric care from tech priests trained in artificial psychology. The most ancient Titans, whose construction dates back to the dark age of technology itself, seem particularly affected by the isolation that results from the loss of their contemporaries. Despite these challenges, Imperial Titan legions continue to serve as symbols of the Imperium's technological heritage and military might, their towering forms inspiring awe and determination in Imperial forces while striking terror into the hearts of enemies across the galaxy. Each surviving war engine represents thousands of years of accumulated knowledge and experience, their machine spirits serving as living repositories of tactical wisdom that proves invaluable during the most challenging combat operations. The sight of these ancient god machines striding across battlefields continues to embody humanity's defiance against the darkness that threatens to consume the galaxy. The sacred bond between the Adeptus Mechanicus and their Titan legions ensures that every possible effort will be made to preserve these irreplaceable assets for future generations, though the harsh realities of 42nd millennium warfare make their ultimate survival far from certain. As the Imperium faces its darkest hour, the remaining Titans stand as monuments to humanity's greatest achievements, while serving as the last guardians of knowledge that may prove essential for the species' continued survival. Their thunderous footsteps echo across countless worlds as harbingers of imperial justice, their weapons speaking with the voice of the Omnissiah himself in humanity's endless war against extinction. The legacy of the god machines extends far beyond their immediate military value, encompassing the preservation of ancient knowledge, the maintenance of technological traditions, and the spiritual guidance they provide to the faithful servants of the machine god. As long as a single Titan walks among the stars, the dream of the Omnissiah lives on, and humanity retains hope that its greatest creations will endure through whatever trials the future may bring. In the grim darkness of the far future, where there is only war, the Imperial Titans remain as eternal sentinels watching over mankind's destiny.